That's better. Hopefully we're live. Forgot to turn on the microphone. So I've only got like 8 hours to get this stream ready on a Saturday. There we go. How are we working? No sound even. Are we working now? Can you hear me and see me? That is the question. Hopefully you can. Just wait for the... yeah. Rick, sound working, lights okay, camera okay, stream okay. Excellent. Matthew Day says perfect dinner timing. Good stuff. Hello Atomic Sub, hello Shaky, Mark Berry, how are you? Nero, Charles Ballard, Nick Barnes, RK, Benchmarker, Nero, I think I said that. I see a shiny head, so we see you. Excellent. Michael Ellingham, how you doing? Mark Gaines, sound is good. Roderick Kennedy, how you doing? Excellent stuff. So it seems that everything's working. Excellent. We like to see that. It is Saturday the 20-something of whatever month it is. 26th of July?
Yeah.
July. 2025. I know that one for sure.
It's 25 yesterday.
It was 25 yesterday. I was very excited to just about to go to sleep last night and it's like looked at my phone and was like, oh, 25, cool. Funny how things like that stick in your head. That's right.
I had no concept of what you were talking about.
Ah dear. Right, let's see if the overhead camera is working. I'm guessing it will be. Yeah, there we go. Everything is looking fantastico and stream desktop is working. Yeah, we like that. Excellent stuff. Right, so I'm going to be completely honest and upfront with you here. I have got nothing to bring to the table whatsoever today. It's been one of those weird weeks. I think it's been going on and on for a little while now where there's just nothing really kind of deeply interesting going on in the tech space. Yes, there's a few little stories and a few little kind of minor bumps in the road, so to speak, but I don't know, there just doesn't seem to be anything really new and exciting, which I guess it is coming up to the kind of like the summer holidays for a lot of people. And in fact, if you're in the UK, then if you've got children at school, then, or even adults at school, I guess, these days, you will be just starting the summer holidays. So 5.5 or 6 weeks of holiday, and then it's all over. Then it's onward to autumn and winter and back to temperatures being absolutely horrendous. Anyway, hopefully everything is good. Rick says, nice keyboard. Yes. Not very easy to pick up. This is the Keychron K3 Pro, I think it was. We reviewed it ages ago. And I was just about to start the stream and I was thinking, I've got that Logitech keyboard and mouse. I don't know if I can bring myself to use it. So I've dug out the Keychron M3 and the K3 Pro as my weapons of choice tonight for tonight's stream, primarily because, well, they're Bluetooth, so I don't have to worry about a wireless dongle, and also the compact nature of the K3 is pretty excellent, so I just put it to one side if I'm doing anything, and the M3 mouse is very lightweight, which we like.
Should we do the members things?
We'll do the members things. So what have we got members-wise? Let's scroll back up to the top, where we scroll back down.
Got Mark Gaines.
Why is that not working? Is that worse? Is it because I already clicked on it? Yeah, there we go. Mark Gaines has been a member for 4 months. Thank you very much, Mark Gaines, for supporting the channel. You are an excellent chap. Kath's even given you a clap. Although that might be one of her sarcastic claps, I can never tell. I get that sometimes if I like bring in a cup of tea. So, oh, well done. Good. You managed to work out how that works. Congrats.
I took a photo of you once.
Rasher's also been a member for 46 months. Does that work? Yeah. There you go. You can have the fingernail nail clap. 46 months. That's incredible. Thank you so much for your support, your ongoing support.
That's older than the kittens, isn't it?
Great stuff. Thank you so much. So that's those done. For those of you that are wondering what's going on, if you're new here, if we get any super chats come in or membership messages, then we put the RGB light on. It's a bit of a gimmick thing. We've been doing it since we basically started streaming almost. It used to be because Kath was a fatty and it was good exercise for her to get her ass out of the chair and turn on the lights and turn off the other lights. So back then, people were actually helping to save someone from obesity. I jest, obviously. That is all said very much tongue firmly in cheek. It's not true. Kath is a very slender, lovely looking young lady. Otherwise, I would not still be married to her.
Not so much the young man.
Yeah, not so young, but Bit rough around the edges, but she'll do. Anyway, moving on before YouTube decides to cancel the channel. Let's have a look, see what you guys are saying. Letter says, rest in peace Ozzy, not in a mood to chat, but I'll watch, no worries. Yeah, it's quite sad, isn't it, about Ozzy Osbourne. It's, he is, I think he's one of those people that I don't think anybody actually actively dislikes. Some people are kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, he is who he is. But most people are either neutral or very much like Ozzy Osbourne. So it was very sad to hear this week of his passing. He has been struggling, I think is probably the right word to say, with Parkinson's, that's the one, for quite a few years now. And obviously he's lived a life, so it's going to take its wear and tear on the old body. So yeah, rest in peace Ozzy, wherever you are. Some would argue that he's probably not gone up there, he might have gone down there, but who knows. Hopefully he's doing well. Ozzy, all the best for your future journeys. There we got another membership message there from the Bronc. I had to chat that first. The Bronc 9. Thank you very much. Well, thank you for supporting the channel. And also there's another one there from our good friend Mick Woods. Thank you, Mick Woods, for your £10 donation. And Mick says, hello everybody.
I didn't do the Bronx.
Well, hello Mick, and hopefully you're enjoying something nice and cold in Italian this evening, straight from the fridge, no doubt. I haven't had a drink in ages. At least it seems like it. I can't remember the last time I had a drink. I'm scratching my nose now, which is normally a sign of lying. Beware, but it's not, just because I've got itchy nose. Genuinely. I have 6 cats. There's cat hairs everywhere, and they stick to you, especially if you've been in the sun and you're a little bit on the kind of the, I'm going to say it, the moist side. They can stick to you, so yeah. The Prince of Darkness, rest in peace. Yeah, Ozzy was a likeable weirdo. He was, bless his heart. It's yeah, it's always sad, especially if you are of a certain age group. I guess with Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath, even if you kind of grew up with it, so you were maybe in the, what would have been the, is it late 60s, early 70s? I think they must have been around early 70s, I think, when Black Sabbath were formed, I think. Someone might also correct me on that in the chat. It's a little bit before my time. But if you grew up with that, and then it kind of comes around every few years, doesn't it, or every few decades. So the generations which kind of missed out on it originally, they grow up and they get to that sort of teenage angsty kind of year, and then they start getting into some of that music, and then obviously it hits another generation, and so on and so on and so on. So there's lots of generations which have certainly loved the music and loved Ozzy as a character, and even for those that didn't listen to Ozzy's music, possibly they saw him during their what seemed like decades on TV, on MTV, with the Osbournes. I think I've watched a few of those, but not many. It was never really my thing.
Kettle on the gas ring.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah, so he's he's touched a lot of people's lives, figuratively and probably physically. Anyway, good stuff. Excellent. Oh, Mick Woods is on the Doom Bar. Doom Bar. Oh, I used to get that for free. When we worked for the BBC, they used to get product placement come in, and they would bring different samples of stuff, and we'd get Doom Bar come in from one of the brands, and they'd get all new bottles, and we had like a fake pub set, and we were in charge of props basically. So we would go to the sets and just replace any stock which was like either out of date or getting near short life. And yeah, we used to make use of some of those props, let's say. We would liquidise their assets, quite literally.
Well, if they were out of date, they had to be...
Yeah, they had to be thrown away, so waste not, want not.
It's like, oh, it doesn't go out of date.
That's true, yeah. Susan Robbins says, I think we're all a little weird. I think that's very true, and I think we're all getting a little weirder as time goes on. I think,
I'm proud to be weird.
Yeah, I think our weirdness is what makes us unique. Ashley Strachan says, hey all, sorry, was just uploading my face for prom. That definitely won't be leaked or used to blackmail me later in life. That is obviously going to be one of the subjects of conversation for us. Now, for those of you outside of the UK, you may have experienced this already, or you may have this coming to you shortly. Here in the UK, they have just released, as of yesterday, well, I think the deadline was midnight on the 24th, but as of the 25th of July 2025, 2525 as it's known to me, they started the UK Online Safety Act, the age verification part of it. Now, the Online Safety Act, if you're not sure what it is, you can go over to any of the government websites and check it out. It's kind of the same in most countries, to be honest with you. They all just like copy paste it around the world. So depending where you are, then yeah, no country agrees with anything at all other than when these things come out. It's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. We should all definitely do that. But anyway, it has been debated. The Online Safety Bill and Online Safety Act has been debated in the UK, in the House of Commons and various other places for, I believe, the best part of, I think, 15 to 20 years. Because even in the very early 90s, I can vaguely remember there was discussion about it, obviously the internet and access to online sources, blah, 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 safety protocols and all those kinds of things. And this obviously is evolved over the years, and various companies have already introduced some forms of age verification, or even just to verify that you are a human being, be it through 2FA. I know sometimes with Steam games, if you lose your Steam account and you want to get access back, the same for Facebook and things like that, sometimes they'll ask you for a copy of your driver's license or some kind of utility bill or those types of things. So yeah, it's not necessarily a new thing, but the way it's been implemented now as of the 25th, for some people in the UK is causing some concern. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say whether it's right. I'm not going to say whether it's wrong. I am arguably completely impartial. I can see the pros and I can see the cons, which is always the case in most things. It's as with a lot of things in life these days, everything appears to be becoming very, very binary. So it's either yes or no. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground these days. And I think for some people, the Online Safety Act is potentially a halfway house. It's not what it should be, and it's not what it could be. But arguably, for some instances, it's a step in the right direction. But like with a lot of things which we've learned through in history, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So where do these things come to an end? Obviously, if history has anything taught us, as soon as you give anybody a little bit of power, they generally find it quite hard to relinquish that power, and very rarely will they ever give it back. So I think it's one of those things that we do need to monitor and we do need to be aware of, and certainly have at least be mindful of it, know what it's about, know what it affects. And obviously there's very little we can do as individuals to kind of make a statement one way or the other for this type of stuff. But I think if it upsets enough people for a long enough time, then something potentially may be done about it. But we'll talk more about that later on in the stream, hopefully, because I want to hear what your thoughts are on it for sure, because I'm hoping, like me, you can see both the pros and the cons from both sides of the fence, so to speak.
And I'll be keeping quiet because I'll get us banned.
Yeah, Kath will be quiet because she'll get us banned, because she has extremely strong views on the whole thing. And that is fine, because that's what life is all about. Some people have strong views, some people have no views, some people have no care whatsoever.
It's whatever. Being recorded going in the supermarket. Why should they record my face?
It is an intrusion in some respects. Matthew Day says, will Steam have to do more than ask for a date of birth now? Well, not necessarily. So the way that the Online Safety Act or the Online Safety Bill, I'll use those two terms interchangeably. Essentially, they mean the same thing, although the Online Safety Bill is a massive overarching set of bills which have been going for like the last, I think it's at least 2 years. I'm pretty sure it was October 2023 that it was actually ratified and actually signed into law by the King or Queen or whoever it was back then. I obviously don't know. But yeah, it was put through the Commons, etc., got the signature from royalty, and it was passed into law. So the Online Safety Bill / Act was a thing, and they're slowly kind of feeding bits into it. I would strongly suggest, if you don't understand the bill and what it actually means, I would strongly suggest going over to one of the government websites and reading into it and seeing what it's all about. It's going to take you a long time to digest. It's hundreds and hundreds of pages. I think if I remember rightly, it was about 250 plus pages. So it's a very, very long read, and it doesn't just cover online safety for children. It covers all aspects of digital communications and also digital data storage. So it's a very, very wide and overarching bill. But the recent act, which has come into force as of yesterday effectively, is just a small segment of that. But it seems to be at the moment the one which is causing the most outrage, I think is probably the best word. Possibly confusion as well, because people don't really understand what it is and why it's about. You see these headlines, and obviously newspapers and YouTube channels, we want to try and generate views, and the way they do that is by sensationalism, which is hard for me to say. But from the thumbnails, and I'd say, actually, I will call out someone specifically. So if you go to Linus Tech Tips, their news channel, I can't think what it's called now, Shorts, is it? Tech Shorts or Tech Briefs, or I don't know what it is, something along those lines. They do like a daily news thing, or every other day, and their thumbnail was like Riley looking very shocked, and it said about the online digital bill thing. So yeah, there's a lot about it which essentially is designed to, I know I'm going to get flamed for this straight away, it's designed to basically protect children or minors online. So that is the kind of the broad stroke of what it was originally intended to do. You could argue that it goes in a lot of different directions, and there's various different kind of, I won't say conspiracy theories, because that's not really the right thing to say, but there's obviously people that have got concerns of where does this lead, where does it stop. Effectively, what it means is it's asking for age verification. So if you are trying to access a website or a application which potentially may have content which could upset the regulators or contain instances of either images, text or video which is not suitable for people under the age of 18. Now, we could go down the whole rabbit hole of, well, who decides who's ready to see what and when? Obviously, kids in school see probably a lot more than they should do, and most people don't wait until they're 18 to see things of an adult nature. I'd imagine there's probably quite a few of you in the chat who have been to a cinema to watch a movie which was rated as an 18 plus, and you've been younger than 18 and you've gone in and watched it, and you've come out and you've been a completely normal person. Well, probably not completely normal, because like I said earlier, we're all a little bit on the weird side, but hopefully you understand where I'm coming from with that. So I think the arbitrary age of 18 is, I kind of feel like it's a universal thing. I know in some countries, like for joining the military, there's like 16, 18, 21, all those kinds of ages. They're all that kind of coming of age type number. So in the UK, they decided that 18 years of age is that age. And basically, if there is the potential that you may see content which is not suitable for someone under the age of 18, you would have to prove your age in some means or form. Now that can be from various different things, either from a visual identity, so basically taking a picture of your face at different angles, so they can basically use AI to work out how old you are, which I guess would work quite well. And in fact, some people have already breached that by using a picture of the guy from The Walking Dead, who was also in the video game, which was, I can't think what it's called now. It was a very popular video game where you walked around with loads of stuff on your back falling over all the time. Can't think what it is. Someone's going to put it into the chat, I think. No one's put it in yet. Anyway. Death Stranding. Thank you very much, Nero, for that. Death Stranding and Charles Ballard. Awesome. Thanks for rescuing me. So there's a game called Death Stranding, and from what I've seen from a very brief look into some of the news channels, somebody actually used his face from the video game Death Stranding, has their, basically, to pretend that's who they are. Now obviously that's circumventing the system, which is not legal, effectively, ethically or legally, I guess, at the moment. So it's like anything, there are going to be ways that people will use to get around it. Obviously, people are going to use things like VPNs. So if you're in the United Kingdom and you want to access something which is age restricted and you don't have a way of validating your age, then if you are using a VPN or some kind of virtual network that suggests that you are actually in a physical location other than the UK, then obviously it wouldn't apply to you. So potentially people might be using that kind of thing. But again, it's one of those things that the bill or the act isn't perfect by a long means. And there's always going to be people that will find ways around anything. Look at Windows updates and things like Windows recall. We've done obviously videos on things like how to prevent Windows updating or how to stop recall or get rid of Copilot. So like anything in the digital era, there's going to be ways of circumventing it or getting away or getting around it. The legality of that, obviously, that isn't for me to decide one way or the other. That's for people on a much higher pay grade than myself. But certainly it's, yeah, it's a very unusual thing for us to experience here in the UK. Now, even if you're on Discord, which I'm guessing from some of the names I'm seeing in the chat, there's quite a lot of you that actually are on Discord. Now, if you go into a Discord chat server where there are rooms which are designated as being for 18s plus only, then potentially if you go into those chat rooms, you will be asked to verify your age. Now, this doesn't mean that you won't be able to access Discord, but certainly if the Discord sites or Discord servers that you're accessing have all of the rooms or the entire server set as being 18 plus, then potentially you may need to verify your adulthood, so to speak, to gain access. Which again is going to be one of those things where it's going to upset people. Some people who are somewhat security conscious don't want to have some random website or server having a scan of their face or their utility bill or their passport, driver's license, whatever it might be. So certainly, again, I think, like was said very early on in this chat, if you are going to certain sites that are 18 plus rated and are obviously slightly dodgy anyway, if you are going to be going to those sites and you are going to use your own details as validation, I think that is a recipe for disaster. Because with most digital systems, it's not if they're going to get compromised, it's more a case of when. So certainly for me, I would be somewhat hesitant, and if it comes to a point where there is a site which requires it for me, I'm going to have a very, very long think about what I actually do. Now, there has been instances where YouTube themselves have required validation or verification. Now, sometimes it can be done via something as simple as a mobile phone number, sending a text message, much like 2FA authentication. That I'm still a little bit kind of, I understand why it's necessary, I understand why it should be used, but it's also somewhat of a potential vulnerability and also a data breach. So yeah, like anything, it's not going to be perfect. There's pros and cons for either way. I honestly don't know. I go down certain rabbit holes and I think, yeah, it's a great idea. And if it saves one child from being groomed or whatever, or exposed to something that they shouldn't be exposed to, then it's worth it just for that one child alone. But if it also gets used nefariously, then clearly there needs to be some work and it needs to be a balanced system. Ira Wolfman has become a supporter. Thank you very much, Ira Wolfman. Much appreciated.
Capsule. I have 6 caps around me.
Let's have a look what people are saying. So Hoove says it's draconian and I'm against it. That's fine. Thank you, Ira Wolfman. Much appreciated. You get a clap, Kath. Kath, clap.
I have to try
Kath's got the clap.
do it. I'm not the habit of doing it.
The Hoove says it's draconian and I'm against it. Could you elaborate, Hooves? Just say why you're against it. I'm actually genuinely interested to see. I can understand why people are against it.
Do you want it up now?
I don't necessarily understand why people are for it or against it, but I can understand people not wanting to use it themselves, but I don't really kind of understand why people would not want other people to be subjected to it. But that is assuming that you don't go to certain sites on a regular basis, which is your kind of your me time sort of thing. So I don't know. Ari Wolfman's also sent 5 Mike's Unboxing reviews and how-tos gift memberships. 1 to Hooves. Straight away, get in there. Matthew Day as well. Adam Williams. Arnold G. The legend that is the lead farmer. And also, I'm going to struggle with this one. Oprichnik Imperial. I butchered
They're
that.
in the chat, I think.
Thank you for that. And thank you, Ira Wolfman, for donating news. Awesome. Hoof says freedom for over 18s. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what you mean. Freedom for over 18s. So are you saying that if you're over 18, you should have the freedom to do and see and go where you want online? If that is the case, but you still would then need to verify that you are 18 or above to have that freedom. But by validating you are that, you've already kind of had one of your freedoms taken away. So again, it's not a perfect system. It certainly isn't. But I do understand it.
But then they will bring in the perfect system for them.
Yeah. Who says, as an adult, why do I have to provide ID? What will you do with my ID? Those are very good questions. Certainly. What will you do with the ID? Where is that ID stored? How long is it stored for? And what information gets passed on to third parties? And also, who is maintaining that database? I think those are all things which are extremely valid questions and also potential problems. So yeah, I would certainly do that. But yeah, as you're saying, as an adult, why do I have to provide ID?
And like Zero Defect says, would it be better to have a license to use the internet for under 18s?
Yes, I think potentially that is the trouble. It's like with a car, you have to have a driver's license to be able to drive a car on the road. You have to have a license to own certain pets. You have to have a license to get married.
Done.
You have to have a license to purchase and own a gun. Obviously not in this country, but well, you can in this country, but you have to have certain other things as well. So I think it's like anything. Like obviously criminals won't get a license because they're criminals.
They still get a gun.
So you're not necessarily weeding out the criminal elements by having licenses and restrictions. You're more controlling the law-abiding people, which are the ones which are generally law-abiding and aren't going to cause problems. So yeah, it's a very difficult thing, and it's very hard to say what is right with it, what is wrong with it. I understand it. I genuinely do. I understand it from every angle, because it's been one of those things which has gone through my head for a very long time. And actually, us ourselves, we are directly affected by the online safety. They call it the harms bill. So as content creators, we have to be very mindful of the content we create. And there's certain things that you're not allowed to discuss. Hence why we have a strike on our channel, because we discuss something which is basically potentially harmful. Now, we don't believe it's harmful, but somebody somewhere does, so we got into trouble for it. Moving on, Viali sent a £2 super chat. Thank you very much, Viali. It says, Mike, new Asus BIOS Agisa to Combo Pi 1203F. Excellent. What does that provide? Is that a security vulnerability, or is that an update? Actually, I think I know the answer to this already. I think I know. That is a pre-release for the Ryzen 9000F series processors, if I'm not unmistaken. That Ninja Duck says, just VPN if you feel uncomfortable. I think, yes, that is, like, there isn't a VPN, as far as I'm aware, on the planet, which is perfectly kind of seamless. And due to the rules and regulations of the UK, certain elements of what data gets passed through a VPN will be recorded somewhere, even if it's for a very short time. So they're not the perfect solution, but certainly for this particular instance, to make it so that you're not affected by EU legislation and laws, by pretending you're in a location other than the United Kingdom, you would be able to bypass those particular things. So I think VPNs, we actually had this discussion on Discord, and I think it was... No, I can't remember who it was, but they said, yeah, VPN sales have gone through the roof in the last 24 hours. Makes me kind of wish I'd done a VPN video a long time ago. But anyway, thank you, Tony, for the £2 super chat. Much appreciated. And Tony gets a clap.
Sorry, anyone I forgot.
She nearly forgot. Thank you, Tony. Much appreciated. Hoop says, I have adult filters. Yeah, I think that is the thing as well. I think it would have been potentially another means of regulating it, although I don't think ISPs would actually like to do it because of the complexity involved in it. But if you think about it at the moment, there's a lot of routers and also add-ons that you can add to your browser, which will be like parental control. So I don't know why they didn't put it over to the ISPs and say, right.
Because they don't really want that.
Yeah, actually that wouldn't work, because it would go to a router and then it would go to the rest of the family, so it would affect everybody.
What's coming in now is what they're bringing in after this, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that is the thing. Like, how far does it go? Like, at the moment, yeah, it's under 18s. Certainly at some point I can imagine it being, well, there's certain content on the internet which the government doesn't agree with, so you are no longer allowed to see that. Again, potentially we're going down slightly conspiratorial avenues here, but I would never rule it out. Like they say, conspiracy theory is only conspiracy theory until it comes true, which, if you've been paying attention recently, a lot of them tend to. I think the Earth is still round though. I think that one's going to take a while, but some other ones are kind of, yeah, coming to effect. D. Aitken says, you can't control all the elements of your kids' online access. Even if you limit their devices, it doesn't stop their friends. Protecting kids needs to be a priority for the government.
But you can't protect them in the playground.
Good that they're talking. It's good that they're talking about it. It's, yeah, I think it's good that they're
protect them anywhere, can you? It's not just online.
The protecting of children is, I don't know, I'm not too sure. It's a really difficult one because I grew up in the 80s. In the 80s, the idea of protecting children was basically the teacher not being allowed to wear brass knuckles when they were giving you a belting. And I would argue our generation has turned out reasonably okay. But yeah, it's a strange one. Super chat there from Rasher. Thank you very much, Rasher. That's €20. God bless you, sir. Kath's going to do the Kath clap. Thank you, Kath clap.
Thank you.
Well done, Mike and Kath. That's one of the reasons why I always like you guys. You're not afraid to tackle controversial topics online. Well, yeah, well, this video will likely be taken down, I would imagine. I can't imagine, well, it shouldn't do, because we are being open and we're not against it or for it. We're just discussing the options, or discussing what is happening. But thank you, Rasher. Much appreciated. Mark Berry says conspiracy theories come true in about 6 months.
There she is.
I think that is generally it, yeah. There's Candy. Hey, Candy. You okay?
Do you want a bowl of food back?
She wants a bowl of tea. Ahmad Maddy. Do Arctic Freezer 36 have full 4-slot DDR4 clearance? In general, yes. Not every board, but in general, most boards should be fine. If you want proper 4-slot clearance, if you go for the Thermalright Rocket Knight, that one 100% will give you 4-stick clearance, any type of RAM.
Dave Aiken says, if this is taken down, do you lose the super chats? I expect we probably would.
I honestly don't know.
YouTube will keep them.
YouTube will keep them, I expect. They, I don't know. You'd think they'd refund them to whoever. Candy.
Cheap.
Sinister Chef says nothing has been offensive, just explaining the events. That is what we're attempting to do. Obviously, there's news channels which will report on it and they will talk about it, the pros, the cons, and what have you. It just depends how YouTube and the AI algorithms react to it. Generally, live streams are pretty much okay. It's recorded videos which are the ones they really do tend to clamp down on.
I don't know. They even take down private ones, though, don't they?
Yeah, that's true.
They give people strikes for private videos.
Wolfman says, weird, are my comments being blocked? Not to my knowledge, no. They shouldn't be. Let's see. Oh, I can't do anything on there.
Who said that?
Ari Wolfman. Where's that? There's normally a pop-up box there. No, I'm not blocking them. Kath's not blocking them. I don't think anyone else is. It normally comes up on our screen. Donald from Twitch and YouTube says, do you mess with streaming Android boxes like Superbox? No. No, I haven't got involved with those since the days of the old Tanix TX2 Mini, I think it was. Whatever it was, yeah, those Android boxes are awful. I absolutely detest them. Anyone buying an Android box these days really needs to have a serious word with themselves. They are just dying for malware to be spread on them. So if, depending what you're using them for, like if you're using them for just really, really basic internet access and you're not going to put any of your own personal details in, maybe give it a go. I personally, especially some of the the really, really cheap ones, I would give them a wide miss. Yeah, they're not great. If it's gone from another large company, like a well-known company like Acer or I don't know, Hewlett-Packard or that sort of thing, then yeah, I think you're pretty safe. But certainly if you get one, the first thing to do is just nuke the operating system altogether and install something on it completely different. Don't even use their ROMs.
Miss Kitten, not my chair.
Military Production, sorry for the spam, maybe you didn't see my comment. Hey Mike, I'm planning to switch from an RX 6600 to an ARC B580. Watched your videos too, but I still can barely decide. If you're switching from an RX 6600 and you're going to an ARC B580, I would be tempted, personally, if you can pick one up for the right price, maybe something like this. This is a Radeon RX 6800. Needs a little bit more power to run it, but I picked this up for £222. You can generally pick them up on eBay for somewhere in the region of about $250, thereabouts. And yeah, it will give the B580 a pretty decent run for its money. I've actually done a review video on this last week. I think it was on Friday or Thursday. That'll be coming out very shortly on the channel. And obviously we've done the B580 review only a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, or maybe even a week ago. So you can kind of compare the two and see what the results are like. I know pretty much for a fact, obviously this is going to be the more powerful card. It's also got 16 gigs of RAM rather than 12. It's a more mature setup. You've got a 256-bit bus. The only thing I would say is for some ray tracing games, you might find the ARC B580 a little bit more powerful. But also you have to be mindful of the drivers for some games which aren't particularly well optimized in some instances. So if you're only playing a couple of specific games, I would strongly see if those are very optimized for ARC. If not, I would strongly suggest looking at either a used AMD card for around about the same sort of money, or if you can, try and dig a little bit deeper into your pockets. You haven't said how much you're going to be spending on your B580, but realistically, if you are looking at a B580 for around about £250-ish, that's the general price, depending on the model you go for. Some of the more elaborate models will be closer to 300, at which point then you're getting very close to RX 9060 XT 16 gig kind of era, which is probably better again, certainly a little bit faster than this. So if you want something brand spanking new and you want it to be decent fast and decent drivers and 16 gigs of RAM, the RX 9060 XT 16GB is most definitely worth a shout. And I've been looking around recently, they're almost at that £300 mark, at which point I think I would certainly pounce. Thanks Mark Gaines for the £7 super chat, much appreciated. It says, kids these days are tech savvy, they will find a way to bypass it. I think they probably will. Yeah, I think that is a pretty good shout, Mark. I would say that the people that are going to be probably caught out the most with this, it seems like such a weird thing to say, but I think it's going to be the older generation. So people in their, maybe in their 60s onward, or maybe those that haven't been exposed to PCs and technology that much in their lifetimes. Maybe they're a little bit new to it. I'm not saying that people younger won't be affected, obviously, but I'm thinking generationally, kind of like my uncles, my aunties, that sort of stuff, parents, etc. They're going to be the ones in their later years, 60s, 70s, 80s. And if it comes to a point where they have to prove their age just to post on Facebook or something, yeah, who knows? Potentially it might come to that. It might come to it where you have to do it for all sites, which I think that's where it's going. Well, if you don't have a phone, there's a chance you probably won't be doing it anyway. Now, I think with a lot of these things, yes, I know what you're saying there. Scanning with your face, they will probably ask you, if you don't have access to a phone, I would almost guarantee at some point there will be an option to go to the local post office and get a picture taken to send off, much like your driver's license, or potentially they'll get you to scan it and send it via email. That potentially could be done as well. If you haven't got a scanner, you go to the post office.
To open mail.
Possibly. Who knows?
That's the way around it then, isn't it? It's to not comply and just do it all manually.
But the thing is, at the moment, there's not an option to do it manually. Yeah, there's not an option to do it manually at the moment, is there? So at the moment, it's only just come in, so it's obviously going to be in its infancy. Sorry, if you wonder why I'm looking that way, it's because Kath is sat there behind the camera. But yeah, I think it's very much in its infancy, so it's early doors. There's obviously going to be some rough edges to it, and it's going to be one of those things where there's going to be some sites which clearly need to have 18 plus protection on them, which don't, but there are going to be significant fines for websites that do it. But again, it's going to be one of those things that the illegal sites, which are probably the most problematic on the internet, those will be the ones which won't do the protections. So anyone can access them, and it'll be those sites that are kind of full of malware and trojans and that kind of stuff, because they don't care. All they care about is people going on their site and clicking links. That's all they want to do. They don't care about where the content's being watched or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just
wait until the fake scam sites crop up doing fake ID verifications.
Oh God, yeah.
Non-tech savvy people.
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be very much that. It's like the 2FA stuff, or you get a text message on your phone saying your Amazon delivery is being delayed. Click here to find out more. And it's not come from Amazon. It's just a phishing thing, and it's going to get to the point where this is why I personally, now I know a lot of people are going to hate this, I personally think that biometric ID is the way forward. Now I know that sounds terrible and it's extremely creepy, but if it was
divorce worthy,
very divorce worthy, if biometrics were in place for every single aspect, then I think the world and the internet would be a safer place in general. But it would have to be implemented on such a strict basis that it would be basically almost impossible to do properly. So even though in kind of
after all those thrillers I've been watching,
yeah,
they just basically
just rip someone's eye out. Yeah,
yeah.
It's not a perfect thing, obviously, but in the kind of utopia Star Trek world that we kind of want to live in, it's yeah, you know where I'm coming from. I think biometrics, voice, whether it be voice, iris, fingerprint, whatever, visual, I think that is the way forward, because we are all unique, allegedly, up until the point which they can clone us, in which case we are somewhat less unique. So it's a very difficult problem. And it's
what happens if you get a cataract or some kind of throat infection?
Yeah.
Your voice isn't right.
I know, and that's what I said. It's not perfect. I just said that. There's no point trying to poke holes in it, because I know there are lots of holes. It's just, there isn't, that's what I said, there isn't a perfect solution. Ideally, biometrics would be, because that's better than a password, because you can forget a password. You can't really forget your body, whether it be your eyes, your voice, your fingerprint, or a combination of all of that.
How easy would it be for AI, once it's got your biometrics, to fake things for you?
Well, yeah, that's it, yeah. There's always things which are going to go wrong. Viali says, Mike is the spitting image of Rob Cross, the darts player. Thanks, I think. O Imperial says, my nickname is the Age of Empire reference. Okay. Hoof says, Mark Gaines, I disagree. Kids are less tech savvy, they just want it to work. I think because of the electronic era, and also, again, this is going to be a bit political, but I think it is slightly true. Years ago, it was always like you had to try and be the best. That was the goal. Hence why we have gold, silver and bronze medals, because if you're the best, you got a gold. If you're not quite the best, you got a silver. And if you're a run-up, you got the bronze. If you didn't get that far, you didn't get anything. Or potentially a medal of some sort, but thanks for turning up, this kind of thing. Whereas over the last probably 20 years or so, schools more so, in trying to be more inclusive, which I am in favour of, but they've made it so that they're saying that it's not about winning anymore. It's about taking part, which I kind of agree with. It is about taking part, but ultimately, what's the point of taking part if you're not planning to win? There has to be that sort of, that element of, or that desire, or that yearning to be good at what you're doing. Otherwise, kind of like, why do it? Especially in sports, especially. And for a lot of things in life, like if you're going to do something, you might as well try and be good at it. There's no point being rubbish at it unless it's like a job that you hate doing and you have to do it, in which case, yeah, I understand. But potentially if you put your work into it and worked hard and you were the best at it, then you maybe might get promoted and you might have a less sucky job. Who knows? Anyway, that's another philosophical debate. But I think that is part of the problem, that because there isn't that kind of that push from a young age these days to be the best and to excel at what you do, there's a lot of kind of like, well, I'll just wait for the answer to come to me. Whereas I think a couple of generations previously, we had to fight and work hard, and we didn't have the internet. We had libraries, and you had to study and do things to be knowledgeable. Whereas now, knowledge is basically at the end of a typewriter or keyboard or a voice prompt. So it's a very different setup, and yeah, I think along with that there has become almost like an apathy for learning. So well, why learn anything? Because I can just find out online. But if online goes away or is restricted, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be in a lot of problems. So I kind of understand where you're coming from with that. Shinzi says, I used Eve from Stellar Blade to pass Discord Age and a male character in Rise of the Ronin for Reddit. It's like I said, it's very much not a perfect thing. Alexa says, Dave Rendell, right, the only reason Linux doesn't have a virus or malware problem is because they have such a small market share. I agree. Macintosh and Linux users very rarely are targeted, although Linux is starting to be more so, and especially with the era of the Stream Deck and the derivatives of that, it is becoming more of an attack vector, and I can see that getting worse as things go on. But like anything, if a criminal's going out on night time to rob something, he's not going to go to a street with one house and one car. You're going to go to like a multi-story car park or a long street with lots of cars, because there's lots of cars which potentially might be unlocked, or there might be a better car. So by increasing the number of targets or attack vectors, that is a better target. So that is why most viruses and malware are targeting Windows systems, because Windows is the dominant operating system on the planet, at least for desktop users. Did I miss something there? If you've put a comment in and I haven't seen it yet, please do repost it. Maybe put a Q in front of it just so I highlight it. I will get through to them, I promise. At least I'll try to. Matthew Day says it's not about winning, it's about personal best. Actually, yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, it isn't about winning. It is about doing your personal best. But still, winning is good. When I play Fortnite because I want to win. I don't play it because I want to get my personal best. Although, arguably, my personal best probably would be winning. Yeah, a bit of a double-edged sword, that one. Rasha says to Ari Wolfman, I agree, anonymity is being undermined. There is that, but the thing is with anonymity, that word, there does come a side effect. Obviously, if you are anonymous, and everyone is anonymous, it starts off with the small things, like if you're having a Facebook chat or a Discord chat and someone's getting a bit lippy, because they have that level of anonymity, they can say or do whatever they want, and there's very little recourse for it. Whereas if you are forced into using either your real name or an email address or some sort of verification of your person, then I think it makes you a little bit more mindful of what you say to other people, because obviously, like anything, if you're in the real world and you're in a shop and someone bumped into you and you're like, oh, you wouldn't turn around and give them a royal mouthful, would you? You're more likely to say, like, excuse me, do you mind? But online, people just go straight in for the jugular. So I do agree, anonymity is something which in a lot of instances is beneficial and could be desired, but also it does come with a flip side. And I think that's the same for all of these topics and all of these concerns. All of the concerns and all of the comments are entirely valid, but you do have to acknowledge, or at least try to acknowledge at least, that there are flip sides of every decision and every action, which is often the way that the world works. And it's getting the right balance of those which is the tricky part, and it's almost impossible to do. Jinx Corma saying you already have to make a short video recording of yourself to verify your identity, stroke age, for Google and YouTube. I didn't know that.
Well, I identify as already doing all that.
Yeah, I identify as authenticated. Nick Barnes says, if something fails, my son chucks it. Whereas mousepad he was chucking, I would have taken 10 minutes, cleaned it, and now on my desk. Too much effort for youngsters. Yeah, I kind of understand where you come from. To be fair, some are really good at that sort of thing, some are really bad at it. Also, adults as well, there's some really wasteful adults. There was a couple of people we've had on Discord recently where they've had computer problems, and rather than fix it, which would have been a relatively simple thing to do, they basically lobbed the whole PC in the bin and started over. And it's like, well, those parts have got value. Like, they're not all faulty, surely. But it does happen, unfortunately.
I'm
What timestamp?
9:10.
9:10, thank you. Ahmad, I can't see 9:10. Cool, I'm a bit behind on the chat here. Ahmad, question, what are your thoughts about Gigabyte Aorus DR4 3733 RAM kit? Are they any good? I would say with any RAM kits, especially on the AM4 platform, anything over 3600 megatransfers is potentially risky, getting it to work on your system correctly. And also, you kind of sometimes go over the sweet spot of where Ryzen actually performs its best. If you're using an APU, then certainly the extra memory frequency is useful for extra FPS in games, but you do lose out the benefits of in terms of the Infinity Fabric being balanced one-to-one with the memory, which then does give a slightly higher latency. So it's about balance. I would say the Gigabyte Aorus RAM, I wouldn't know if they were good or bad. I think they'll probably be fine. But yeah, in terms of usage or what we would use them for, it might be a little bit too fast. Having said that, I've got some DDR4 4133 up there, which I never use. So that sort of proves my point. It was too expensive at the time to even consider buying, and it's too unreliable to actually use. It's right for Intel systems, I think, but for AMD it was useless.
Mark Barry, you wouldn't believe what people chuck out at the local recycling centre. Remember the days when you could just take stuff out?
We can't even get into our recycling centre without passing a pop quiz. Ira Wolfman says, next we will have to prove we aren't AI. Yeah, that's going to be a pretty... Thing is, AI is really good, but it's also really dumb at the same time. It's frightening, actually, that a 1970s pocket calculator chess machine can beat the pants out of Gemini in chess. But obviously, if you get the calculator to try and create a thumbnail for your YouTube video, it's going to struggle. Rasha says, yeah, doctors included. I've heard of them Googling symptoms. I've seen it. I've been there myself. I've been there. I've asked questions to the doctor, and I could see his monitor, and he's gone from the patient screen, he's gone onto Google, he's typed in the symptoms, and gone to a site, copied and pasted some stuff, went to another page, and then printed out for me. Literally printed out the Google page, and it even had the search Google thing on the top, and then the description, and then the paragraphs underneath it. So they do. They definitely do it. The thing is, doctors are human beings. They're like, well, mostly, they're like us. So if they don't know anything, which you can't really expect a doctor to know everything, especially a general practitioner, because there's so many things that they can get asked. But that's probably another rabbit hole that we probably shouldn't go down. But yes, certainly they do use it. Wayne Taylor says, it's all about winning, not about... No, yeah, it's all about... I've got to read this properly. It's all about winning, not about inclusion. That's how we have a meritocracy. If you believe we're all equally gifted, you are just delusional. Yeah, again, it's one of those things, like, this is a relatively controversial subject. Personally, I am very much of the grounds that people should be merited for their abilities. And the playing field that everyone is measured on should be the same. There's a lot of people that think that is wrong. I argue they're wrong. They argue I'm wrong. It's one of those things. It's very polarizing. Yes, everybody should have the same opportunities, but if you make the playing field unfair or biased towards one direction or another, then it's not really a playing field, is it? It's a fixed game.
Good life.
It's life, yeah. Opera VPN is too slow for these videos, says Matthew Day. And Andy Archer says, given the prevalence of AI, it would not be hard to bypass a visual check. Yeah, I think you're right. Oh yeah, I'm going up, aren't I? Why am I reading upwards? Jinx Corman says, I run my system on Windows 69. Viruses all day. Scott says, hello, Mike and Kath. How you doing, Scott? Crime Heat says, I think you just have to let your kid know that if they don't win the gold, the silver or the bronze, it's not the end of the world, and try again. Yeah.
Or try a different thing.
Yeah, or yeah, try. Like,
Something
if you're clearly rubbish at something, like, there's no point trying and trying and trying, because yeah, you might get better, but yeah, like, I can't play guitar. I'd love to be able to play the guitar, but I am not musically gifted in any way, shape or form. So I know my limits. I wouldn't even go there. I tried learning the drums. I find that very difficult. My hand-to-eye coordination for drums isn't great. and I can't read sheet music quick enough. So yeah, music isn't my thing. So as much as I would love to be like #1 concert pianist, not going to happen. So I don't chase that dream because it's not going to happen. But I don't think that because of that, Top of the Pops should have me on as a #1 contender, even though I can't play. Because that's just not the way things work. Alessa says winning is everything. There's definitely winning. There's definitely merits to winning, and it is.
But something you'd win doesn't mean another person would win, because there's different skills in it,
Yeah.
which makes a society.
That's true.
It takes all sorts. Like my skills are totally different from your skills, but together, it's cool.
Andy Archer says the idea of medals is to give something to aim for. Well, very much. Look at, if you want to look at, like, this is a cynical look, but YouTube at the moment are trying to do the same thing. So if you look in the chat, you'll notice there's a little thing saying top fans. So Google, YouTube, Alphabet, whatever, are rewarding you, the viewer, for interaction. So whether it be from super chat, super sticker, commenting, longevity or whatever, then they are rewarding you for interacting more. And they are introducing a tier system effectively. So like whoever's the best. But also at the same time, they're trying to say that YouTube is an inclusive platform, which is kind of like the whole world's doing it. Everyone's doing two things and going in two separate directions at the same time to please lots of people. It's very bizarre. There's Rick Willy Bob, £2 there. Says, here's £2 for guitar and drum lessons. Honestly, Rick, you have just wasted your money and potentially I could damage hearing. But thank you very much for your super chat. You didn't do a clap.
He's left-handed, that doesn't help.
Yeah, I am left-handed. Andy Archer says, you can play by ear, Mike. Many artists do. When it comes to the drums, I can... I think personally, making the right noise. No, I can.
Our neighbours complained.
I can hold a beat, but I haven't tried for very long. So, but I think personally, I can hold a beat, which I think is one of the key things of being a drummer. You have to be able to hold the beat, but rather than just like Animal on the Muppets.
You used to be a reggae band, didn't you?
I did. I used to be in a reggae band, but I couldn't handle it. It was
what you were playing the triangle, weren't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I've forgotten it now.
I did used to be in a reggae band, and I used to play the triangle, but it all got a bit too much because it was just one thing after another. Oh dear Lord. I'll be here next week, hopefully.
Well, you tell them.
I know. Just have a look for your comments there. Yeah, Ira Wolfman says I meant GDPR. So yeah, GDPR came out. I'm trying to think when that came out. Was GDPR? Was that?
2018.
It was before then, wasn't it?
I'm sure it's 2018.
George says 2018. He's chirped up with a super chat there of 2018. GDPR. So yeah, in the UK we have GDPR. So it's basically a set of rules and regulations about how to hold and store data about people. And I guess the online safety thing is kind of like, it's just a follow-on, a continuation of that. Born Joker says it's all about being part of a team where every contribution counts because that's how a successful society works. I think that's right. Yeah, definitely. I would agree entirely, which is why a lot of societies crumble, because all it takes is a couple of people to not want to contribute and they become a burden on society. Now, whether they have the choice to contribute, whether they're able to, that is a big thing as well. But it's it's a hard thing. Being part of a team where every contribution counts because of that's how a successful society works. But also you have to think there are some people that are unable to contribute. So if it's no fault of their own and they're unable to contribute, how does that work? It's a very, very, very deep issue and conversation, way above my pay grade. There's never going to be a perfect answer. That is my statement. There will never be a perfect answer. There will always be those that take advantage of society. There's always those going to be in need of help from society. And there's going to be those in the middle that are kind of just basically doing the work and paying for both sides, which potentially obviously isn't entirely fair, but life isn't fair. That's the kind of the way it's been established. So you kind of just have to go with it and just make your peace with it, unfortunately. I don't mind helping people out, but I don't want to help out people that don't want to help. If that makes sense. Anyway, I've scrolled the wrong way again. Wayne Taylor says, what's happening in the UK? Damn, lots of Brits moving to my location, Western Australia, in the last few months. Teachers, nurses, police, every trade. Yeah, I don't think the UK is changing that dramatically. I think it's always been very similar to how it is. It's just in this internet age, it gets talked about more and it's more visual. It's in your face. It's in the news cycles. Kind of now we've got 24/7 news, and not just one channel. We've got like multiple news channels, and also you've got the internet and YouTube and Rumble, etc., etc. So it's just being pushed at you all the time. So as soon as there's anything which does kick off, it's a big thing, and it becomes the news cycle, and it's just relentless all the time. And I think just people are waking up more to seeing what is going on, and hoping they can find that the grass is greener elsewhere, which generally it isn't.
Because although they can't agree on anything, they all do the same.
Yeah, it happens everywhere.
Should we donate some memberships?
Yeah, go on then.
Let's do it.
There you go. So Dave Aikens received a membership. Shaky 1981, Dave Collins, Ruggers Customs, and Nicholas H. Didn't say it right. Nicholas H. You've also received a Mike's Unboxing 1 month membership.
Andy Archer asks, why do self-service tills ask if you want to give a tip?
Yes, true, yeah.
Don't know, because we've never used one. Twice we've used them, haven't we? And then we've got somebody to do it for us.
Rasher says, Tesco's just asked me, do I want to contribute money? I'm thinking I've just used vouchers to buy potatoes. Why don't you contribute? Yeah.
In Tesco once, all the tills were shut and they told us to use self-service, and I just told them I don't work here. You need to open a till.
Yeah.
And they did.
So they should. Shinzi says, what's the Windows 11 problems in the stream title? There isn't any real specific Windows 11 problems as such. One of which is, almost affected me specifically was, for those of you that don't know, Endgame Gear, the popular gaming esports peripheral company, have unfortunately had a driver which seems to have some malware attached to it or inserted into it. It's been a very short-lived thing. It was only online, I believe. I did read this very briefly, so I think it's only about a few days that it was actually discovered, but it was for their OP1 mouse. I'm not sure the exact variety. I did have it on my screen, but I forgot to copy it over. So yeah, there was a vulnerability or malware or backdoor Trojan or whatever you want to call it actually in their software. So yeah, that is unfortunate. I think Windows 11, let's get started on Windows 11. So as most of you know, I've been using Windows 11 pretty much from the very early doors. I think from the first beta, I started using it, and I was a very early adopter. Kind of day one, I was with Windows 11. Now, some of that would be because obviously having a YouTube channel, having to keep on top of these things, but also when I went back to Windows 10, I actually preferred Windows 11. The very early Windows 11 was excellent. it needed a little bit of polishing, but overall it was pretty good. Now, obviously, as Windows 11 has matured and they've added more features, let's say, as we get closer and closer into this AI oblivion, it still, I think, is a great operating system. Personally, for me, I think it does need a little bit of tweaking from the first installation to get it to how you like it. But I think of it as the same as a car. If I went and bought a brand new car, you'd get in, the first thing you'd do would be, right, let's adjust the steering wheel, the seat, the vents, change the heating controls, lights, whatever, stick an air freshener in, all that kind of stuff. That Kath's just air fresheners. That's the sort of thing we do, and I don't think an operating system should be any different. It's one of those things where personalization is an option, and why not use it? Now, I guess some of the things in Windows 11 aren't entirely able to be turned on and off particularly easy in some instances, but I think in general Windows 11 isn't a particularly bad operating system. And although the time is running out for Windows 10, I think we've only got, what, a couple of months left now, and I think honestly Windows 11 is probably the way to go. So if you are still on Windows 10, it may be time to just pull the trigger and go with it, because sooner or later you're going to kind of have to use it anyway. Now, if you want to, you can. Obviously, you can buy the extended support package, or you can use your Microsoft account to request additional support for a year, but you're just kind of putting off the inevitable, I think, personally. Andy Archer has come in with a £10 super chat. Thank you very much, Andy Archer. Clap.
I'm waiting for you to read it first.
Oh, right, okay. Why did the self-service tills ask if you want to give a tip? Yeah, that is just basically, that's a real kick in the teeth for everybody involved, isn't it? So,
especially with Tesco making such billions.
The till operator has been basically sacked. The software's already been paid for. You've just paid for the shopping over the odds prices anyway, and Tesco are wanting a tip. Oh dear. I've just worked for you for 10 minutes or 5 minutes to put my shopping through your scanning tills. I've picked all the stuff off the shelf myself. I've put it into my own trolley, and now you want me to pay you extra as a tip.
And then Govin would be the meter reader, and then Govin would be the bank clerk. And then, like, what do we do now that used to all get done for us years ago?
Oh no, they'll be emptying our bins next. Shaky says, wow, I just got a membership. Cheers. No problem, you're very welcome.
Who gets the tips? Andy actually wants to know.
Yeah, that's the point, yeah. If they said that the tips went to like the workers, I would be probably more inclined to do so.
But it's unlike in restaurants, isn't it? If you pay by card, majority of their tips go directly to the company, not the staff. Which is why I'll only give cash. They say it goes to the staff, but it doesn't always. That's why I always give cash tips. Robin
says next they will have us go into the store and get our own food. I know.
Like years ago, you just go to one person and they'd run around and get you everything, wouldn't they?
Nick Parr says, "Oh my days, Tesco do what?"
And also, you've got to put your own petrol in. You used to have a petrol attendant, didn't you?
Yeah, that's true. Dave Venero says, anytime I get asked about giving them a tip, I reply, get a better job. That's fair. Shinzi says, my work PC is 13 years old and still on Windows 10. Wow. In fact, I think when we...
You're saying wow, but mine's probably that old.
When we moved over... When did I go to Cardiff to start working? Was it 2012? 2011? Yeah, 2011, 2012, wasn't it? And
2012, we had Flame was born, wasn't he? So you were over there then.
Yeah, so, yeah. When we first got over there, the PCs that we're using in 2010, they just got the PCs up and running, and they were on Windows 7. And I'm pretty sure, around about that time, they were just coming around to do the Windows update to Windows 10 in 2012. And I'm pretty sure at that time, Windows 10 had been out for a good few years already.
Windows 10 was when you bought me that Windows phone.
Andy Archer says, can you poll how many are taking up the free 12 months Windows 10 patches? Yeah, I think I can. Let me try that. Oh no, I can't. Why is that not working? Is it coming up on another screen? No. Why can't I create a poll? Can you create a poll, Kath?
No, I'm not in the same screen as you. I'm not. I'm just.
Oh, I can do it there. There we go. Start
I'm
a
just
poll.
watching the video like everyone else, but in your account. Rasher.
How can I add another thing? Or, oh god, my typing is terrible. Start poll. Why is it not letting me start poll?
Get in the pole position, Babs.
Why is it not letting me start a damn poll? Oh, for God's sakes. Right, let's...
And where's Dutch Jam tonight?
don't know. Why won't... Is it showing the poll now? No. Why won't it let me create a poll?
User error. At least you took part.
Why does enter not work?
You need age verification to start a poll.
Oh, God. Don't care. Why is that not working?
Because you haven't done your age thing. You got your code off your phone in the other room and...
It won't let me do it. Shit. Let me see. Yeah, create poll. Let me create the poll and it's got yes, no, or I'm on or going to Windows 11 or another operating system.
Tony's off.
Must contain. Oh, hang on. Ah, too many characters. There we go. Start poll. There we go. I did a thing. There you go. Are you taking advantage? So I'm on or going to Windows 11.
That's lies.
I'm on Windows 11.
Yeah, but I'm on 10 and I want...
Yeah, but I'm logged in as me.
Yeah, but I can't log in as me because I don't know my login.
There you go. Let me get my screen back so I can see what's going on. Right, there we go. Sorry about that. Are those viral Las Vegas videos legit, showing the place empty? I have no idea. I've not seen those, I'm sorry. You need the age verification to start a poll, says Rick.
I said that. I read that one out to you.
David says instead of starting a poll, start a German. Ooh, very good. Our says yes, you can install on older systems. For example, I have a 5th and 7th gen laptop, Windows 11, but the thing is, it's not supported. There's always a way to install, even when it says there isn't. That is true. Nick Barnes says, "Where's the tech guy when you need one?" Yeah, it was a user error. I typed in too many letters into the poll.
Where is Dutch Jan? You didn't answer properly.
Yeah, where is Dutch Jan?
You did it in a distracted kind of way.
Did I?
Yeah.
Where is Dutch Jan?
I don't know.
Where is Dutch Jan? Might be watching some sports or football or a film. Who knows? Where did I get to? Tony says, I'm off ski, gonna have a pint with the lads. Been a pleasure as always. Look, Lock his our calf. His dad jokes are awful. Take care, everyone. See you soon.
It's every kick, I think, instead of lock. It's somewhere underneath.
Kick his arse, calf? Maybe? Who knows? Anyway, moving on.
Kit.
Okay. That's good. No, kick not look. Oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah. Kick his ass, Mike. Thanks, Tony. Have an enjoyable rest of your evening. Where are we? Letter says she's staying on Windows 10 and disabled updates. Andy Archer says polls don't like being taken advantage of. It's true. No one does.
Can't believe that got hidden.
Did it?
No, not that one. That one, I'm assuming.
I'm just having a look now. In a weird accent says, ha, look at the Online Safety Act repeal. They got 2,020 votes. Sorry, 220,000 votes. Yeah, I think, like, I expected that to happen, that there would be people that would be against it. The thing is, it's been in the works now for, like I said, 15 years or more. The chances of it being turned over are extremely slim. The chances of it being modified, relatively high.
Bit like we're going to build 44 flats in that piece of land there.
Yeah.
When really they only want to build 20.
Yeah. Normally, most things, like most companies or anybody, like if you're going for a pay rise, you go in and generally you're going to aim high
Like
and then get knocked down a
Facebook.
bit. Yeah. If you're trying to sell a PC on Facebook or eBay, like you put a price there, like your buy it now price is like 200 quid. Someone says, like, I'll give you 150, and you're like, well, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted anyway. I know I'm simplifying it a little bit, but that's essentially how it's working. Anyway, right. I think we've pretty much exhausted that conversation, unless anybody else has got anything else they want to contribute. But I think we're all agreed, realistically, that we should be trying to protect younger people from certain types of online content. Now,
But what about
depending on
not
what,
online?
yeah, depending on what that sort of content is, obviously that is the debate. Now they've put some the wording, like they call it prawn. You know what I'm trying to say, but where does like lingerie advertising skip into prawn, and where does prawn then skip into something which is more dangerous? And there's always going to be that line. It's much like us making YouTube videos. It's like, well, yeah, they say you can't do this, this, and this, but if you say this because you're commenting it as it's a newsworthy topic, are you then creating misinformation or disinformation or whatever it might be? So it's a very difficult thing to police. Like obviously there's going to be some plain miscarriages of justice in both directions, but also there's going to be some people that just get away with it cleanly because of some silly reason. So I think it's a very difficult thing to implement on such a wide scale, even if it's just the UK, which is a relatively small island with around about 70 million people inhabiting it, and of which probably a good half of those people are probably online and using online content. So to get it right for like 35 million people is probably not that easy a thing to do, let's be fair. But certainly I think, yeah, it's just such a tough one. It really is such a tough one. I understand the need for it and I understand the desire for it, especially from parents. Like some parents that maybe don't quite see further down the road, they're like, yeah, I don't want my children seeing that sort of stuff online. Like, that's fine. That I agree with. And if you don't want your children to see over 18 rated content, I think that's entirely up to the parent and obviously the law. But then
you can't opt out of
where
certain education in school.
So there's certain types of education in the school.
But you're not allowed to opt out.
What's the
Compulsory.
no? What's the word for like the not syllabus? Is it syllabus? It's not syllabus, is it? When they lay out all the lesson plans and stuff. I can't think what it's called. The course, not course, is it? The year of learning. What do they call it?
Timetable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Really.
Curriculum. Thank you, in a
That's
weird
the one.
accent. Curriculum. So yeah, when they lay out the curriculums, there's certain parts of the modern curriculum
My kids learn
which I definitely wouldn't want my kids hearing or learning about or being asked to interact with, because I don't think it's right for schools to do that.
Especially with young kids.
Especially with kids under the age of 18 and generally under the kids under the age of 16, which I think makes it even worse. So for them to then say, right, this is okay for a certain group of people that are under 16, but it's not okay for them over 18. Again, it's that double standards thing, and it's like, where is the line drawn? When does something go from being educational or not indoctrination, that's the wrong word for it, but almost suggested, to then being
I was homeschooled.
wrong.
Mary.
It's a weird one. Kerry Osbourne in the house. Kerry Osbourne says, dictating how schools teach is easy to solve, just go to a private school. I think a homeschool would be the better way, but yeah, private
I always
school.
wanted to homeschool mine, but
Private school if you can afford it. Yeah, David Underhill says a good comment there, but the whole argument is, why is 17 years and 11 months not okay, but 18 years is okay? Again, it's like one of those things. It's one of those arbitrary figures which have been kind of agreed on by people for various different reasons along the lines. It's like, I think in the UK now, to buy cigarettes you have to be 18 or 21, whereas you used to be able to buy them at, I think, 12 years ago. Then it went to 14 and then 16.
it was 16 ever since I've known.
It was 16 from
But
like
you
the
were allowed to go to the
90s,
shops and buy it
80s,
for your
90s.
parents and stuff.
Yeah.
Even when I was like 10, my mum's friends sent me at the shops to get her some with a note.
Mark Berry says, trouble with schools is to teach kids what to think, not how to think. They all think the same, no debating skills. Yeah. Kerry says, yeah, but the kids can watch network television that shows violence. Again, yeah, it's when it comes to watching television network stuff that is aired over the satellites or whatever, cable TV, yeah, then it's down to the parents to kind of monitor that. But realistically, what parents do?
I did.
Yeah, true. But I think nowadays it would be harder.
You were at work. Did it single-handedly. What is it, Candy? Food? Come on then. You're a noisy monkey.
Ira Orphan says, bring back Olco Pops. Yes. Yeah, when Weird Access, how would a parent monitor a phone so closely? Well, yeah, that is again part of the reason for the online safety bill, that it kind of takes some of the work away from the parent and puts the onus on the website. Anyway, very strange stuff. So, I think we've kind of exhausted that. Well, we haven't exhausted it because obviously the debate is going to rage on forever and a day. But there is something which I do have to do, and that is I purchased this graphics card that has been on the desk for all this stream. So this is the Radeon RX 6800, 16 gig. And I've got to be honest with you, it actually runs really nicely. I've done some benchmarks, some tests. Generally, it doesn't get that hot at all, but I am a little concerned because it is a little bit older now. So this came out in 2020, I believe. So it would have been late 2020. So I think, if I remember rightly, it was kind of like October and November. I think it was announced in October and then released to retail November 2020. And yeah, if you can remember that far back, those heady days. So it's getting on for almost 5 years now, and the seal is still intact, so it's never been opened. So I'm a little bit concerned of how much dust and rubbish is inside here, whether the thermal pads are starting to give up. When I got the card, first of all, there was quite a large kind of sweat mark around this area, like a greasy mark, which I have managed to clean off. I used some of the Sonax cleaner, and that got that all. It actually looks like a brand spanking new, to be honest with you. There's a little bit of dust on the fans, which I do also want to address at some point. But I figured it'd be quite a good idea to actually have a look at the thermal paste and just see what is going on there. Again, I don't know the history of this card. It was bought used, and no doubt they've probably given it a bit of a blowout with an air duster or something. All the fans seem to be fine, and there's very few signs of any kind of debris or anything, but I think it's probably worth doing to change the thermal paste. And I'm pretty sure back in this era of card, they were still using thermal paste. I'm pretty sure it's not phase change material. So I'm tempted to look that up, but I don't think it is. So we'll have a look at that. Let's see if anyone else says anything about it there. The Nefarious Leprechaun, how you doing? Thank you for becoming a member.
Actually, we should do the light.
Yeah, Kath's not done the light. She's slacking.
I'm feeding the cat. They're so fussy. They want to
There we
be
go.
fed now.
Where is that membership? Where? There we go. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you for supporting the channel. So, Wayne Taylor says, yeah, it's paste 100%. Dutch Jans is sorry I'm late. Went out to dinner with the wife for her birthday. Many happy returns to Mrs. Dutch. Or Mrs. Jan. Which way are we going to go? There was a question there from the Nefarious Leprechaun. Advice on a case for my new build mic. Be Quiet Light Base 900DX versus Lian Li 011D Evo XL. 75 quid in the difference. That's a tough one. I personally am not a big fan of the Light Base 900. There's something about that design which I'm not too sure. It just doesn't sit very well with me. I think in that instance, I would probably go with the Lian Li 011. I actually quite like the new one, the new mini version. Or the V2, 011 Mini V2 is it? It literally just came out on Friday, I think, Thursday or Friday. That might be worth a look as well. But yeah, the 011, I've always liked the 011. It's a good design. It's sturdy, strong, easy to get parts for. Looks great, although it's a little bit kind of overkill because kind of everybody's got them. The person you'd want to ask really would be O'Reilly, because he has got the 011 Evo XL, I think, but potentially he might have sent it back because it was too big, or it was the wrong. There was something wrong with it. And I can't remember what it was. It was a little while back, but I'm not too sure. I think he sent it back. But yeah, personally, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Light Base 900. That's the one that you can put on the side as well, isn't it? You can lay it flat. That's the one I'm thinking of. I'm pretty sure it is. Viali says, I upgraded from the 011 Evo. But what did you upgrade to? That is the question. Orphan says I'd go be quiet. New channel, Kath's Cat Food Untinning. Wayne says if it's getting hot, paste dried out, pads not seated properly or wrong thickness, needs a blowout, warped back plate. Fair dues. The Mini is out as the so this is the Nefarious Leprechaun. Thanks, I've been learning that way. The Mini is out as the Mobo on the way. I like all the options of the XL. I plan to custom loop in the future. They are nearly identical in size. Yeah, I think I would. Right, yeah. I think I would probably go with the Lian Li. I am a bit of a sucker for Lian Li cases, to be fair. But it's a difficult one. When it comes to kind of like the build quality and the actual usage, there probably isn't a great deal between them, to be fair. So yeah, I don't know. Carl G says, for the budget-minded, the Montec cases are a good shout. The thing is with Montec cases, I have been quite an advocate for Montec cases, and there's been quite a few builds and quite a few build guides that we've suggested to use the 903 Air Max. But the longer we go on, the more and more I'm hearing people complaining about problems with Montec cases due to build quality. Now, some of you have heard this already, that I think I bought 4, maybe 5 cases, and of the 5 or 4, like 3 of the RGB controllers failed. Which, yeah, it's not the end of the world, but if you're on a budget, the last thing you want to do is to have to spend another 10 quid or the hassle factor of swapping out an RGB controller. It's just a pain in the backside. Also, people have said about build quality in terms of the panels, like not fitting very well or bending easily because they're quite thin materials. Now, my most experiences with the 903, so things like the XR I've used briefly, some of the other ones as well, and they do feel a little bit on the flimsy side, but they are relatively inexpensive. But we have found recently, especially here in the UK, that prices have started rising and Montec are starting to increase their pricing. Whether that's due to external factors, I don't know. But I think their competitiveness now is kind of squeezed a little bit. So it used to be like they were the obvious choice because they were significantly cheaper. But now, I don't know. I would be tempted for budget cases maybe to take a look at something from maybe Ions. I haven't looked on their site for ages, but I think they're also in a similar position where some of their cases are getting a little bit more expensive as well. But yeah, either way. Glenn says their Air and Air Light cases were great. Shame the new ones go downhill. It does seem, yeah, you get that with a lot of companies now. They make a bit of a splash, they make an effort, they gain the market share, and then it's like, right, okay, let's dial it back a bit now. John Davis Sullivan's been a member for 16 months. John Davis Sullivan's got a promotion, AV Technology Engineer, start on the 18th. Congratulations. Nicely done. I need to change my job. I need to change. Nick Barnes says, question, Mike, with AMD GPU, which software do you favour to undervolt? Adrenaline keeps defaulting to stock. I think almost every single time I've tried to use the AMD driver to do any modifications to the driver at all, at any point, I've always come back to it at some point or other where there's been a message on the desktop saying, due to your settings, we've reverted to default settings. I generally don't go too aggressive on my undervolts or any changes, to be honest with you, because that's not me. I don't go to the extremes. So I think with AMD, I would probably use Afterburner. I think that's probably the safer solution. AMD drivers, especially when it comes to undervolting or overclocking, I think are lacking. And I'm not sure whether it's where there is like maybe some sort of spike that happens during startup where it tries to initialize a certain set of settings at the wrong time during the process and it just confuses the system, or it triggers some kind of response. But yeah, I don't know. It's an odd one. It's almost like you want the AMD Adrenaline software to kick in a few minutes after Windows is booted. When everything's settled down, it's just like, oh yeah, great. And it might work. Whether that's the thing, I don't know. Glenn says that Adrenaline is legit the only software that works on the 9000 series GPUs. Interesting. I'll keep on seeing reviews for the 9070 XTs, and I am somewhat interested. But at the moment, I don't need one, and I'm trying not to buy it. No Mercy says, hello Mike, I want to upgrade my case to the Haven HS420. What's your opinion on that case? To be honest with you, it looks like it's a great case. I think it's pretty expensive for what it is, but it does look nice. I was offered it for review, and I turned it down because of the size of it, because it's just massive. It's a massive case, and we struggle here with space massively. So yeah, I turned it down. I have seen reviews of it, and it seems to do a pretty decent job. You pay for the privilege of that. It's got some nice features, some good build quality. I think the best review I saw of it was on Gamers Nexus. So I would, as much as I hate to say it, I would trust Steve's judgment on that. He seems to have given it a pretty decent going over, and yeah, he was pretty impressed with it, although there were a few things that he would have liked to have seen done better, and he did comment on the price. It is quite expensive, but yeah, if you like the design, the thing is with cases, if you like the look of it, like the money is the secondary thing, because the thing is, it's your PC's going in it, you need to like it, you need to like the look of it, otherwise you're going to end up swapping it out again. So yeah, I would just I would check out Steve's review on that. Yes, Kath?
Jason Gage.
Jason Gage.
957.
957. Hey Raj, she's been a member for 12 months.
And then
12 months.
Sorry.
Sorry. Who was it? 97. Yeah, there we go. Gage. There you go.
Raj.
That's for Raj. Soulblade. Oh, that's before that one. Jason Gage. There we go. Have you looked at the cheaper ultra-wide monitors on Amazon? Looking at one. I have. Yeah. The thing is, I find with ultra-wide monitors, especially the 34-inch ones, the cheaper ones, they're all curved. And I don't like curved monitors. I kind of do. I think they look cool, but for some reason they play havoc with my eyes. And I had the... No, what size did I have? Yeah, I had a 32-inch curved monitor, which was the... What brand was it? It was Electric. Yeah, the Electric one is a 32-inch curved 1440p, 165 hertz, and it didn't have that much of a curve, I don't think. It was like a 1500R. But yeah, for some reason, because of where it's positioned and where I was sitting maybe for too long, I got to the point where literally I could go to look at like Kath's monitor over there, and because my eyes had got so used to the curve, her monitor looked convex. And even just walking down the road, it was like, I was like blinking my eyes a few times, like, come on, what's going on? Like, my eyes are actually getting used to, or kind of like the curve. My eyes had tried to make the curve flat, and it just messed up my vision, something rotten. So I was spending a lot of time in front of the monitor. Maybe you do too. So for me personally, a curved screen, unless it's an extremely, extremely shallow curve, like a 1000R, I don't think I would entertain getting one, even though I do really want a 34-inch ultra-wide monitor. But for 150 quid, yeah, as long as you can live with it in your eyes, you can be fine. And for 150 quid, you can't go wrong. Rick says, I'm interested to see how the thermal paste is on this nearly 5-year-old GPU. Yeah, you and me both. Let's get the lights on and we'll start taking this sucker apart.
There's lots of questions coming in now.
Oh, there would be. All right, let's answer some questions.
But they're quick.
Oh God, I think my Batimus has gone to sleep.
I think you're allowed to say that under the video.
Oh, yeah. Right. Steve H says, I'm waiting for that gorgeous MSI case they showed at Computex. MSI, I don't know what's going on with them. I've still got, I had this, God knows how long ago, the Strike Pro Wireless, waiting for review. I think the other reviews all went live in May. And I had this in, I think, February or something stupid, or March. And still, it's been basically shelved. They actually announced it at CES 2023. So there's something bizarre going on with that. So it's not out yet officially. Right, let's look at other questions then. What have other people asked? Wayne Taylor says, for God's sake, people, measure your GPU thermal pads thickness when changing. 40% of all my GPU overheating repairs is wrong pad thickness or cheap pads. Yeah, that's not actually a hard thing to do, to measure the things. You need one of these little calipers to do it. And even so, they're actually quite hard because the thermal pads tend to squish a little bit. And if they've lost some of their firmness or rigidity, a 1.5mm can quite easily measure as a 1mm. They will collapse that much. Yeah, David Under says Afterburner is okay, but be careful. It will allow dangerous settings. Yes, it certainly will do. Put the big light on, as Peter K says. That's right.
Did you do old Bob?
Where is that? Oh, Bob. Hi, Mike. Mrs. in chat. What's your opinion on the Corsair Shift PSU? I'm thinking of using it in a new build with the Lian Li 216. Oh yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea. They seem to have implemented it very well. It makes the actual installation easier and subsequent tweaking and fiddling around a lot easier. So yeah, if you like it, go for it. Although I would argue if you're going with the Lian Li 216, maybe get the Lian Li power supply as well to have it all nicely matching. At least that way you know 100% it's going to fit in there and is going to be top notch. So I would possibly look into that as well. If you haven't already made the purchase, maybe maybe take a look at the Lian Li one as well. Dutch Jan says, I'm thinking of getting the Lian Li Vector V100R in white and then the components in black. Interesting choice. I have got the Lian Li Vector V100R currently as my video editing PC. And in fact, the build of me putting that together will be out very shortly. And there probably will be another build video in it very shortly because I'm actually swapping out my AMD processor and motherboard for an Intel one. Because, well, why not? And also I might have another one potentially coming. There was a potential deal going on with young Glenn, if he's still in the chat there. He's got a motherboard and a processor which he's looking to get rid of. So if he hasn't got rid of it already, I might take him up on that. I'm actually quite liking the Intel 200 series. I know it's not a very popular opinion, but they run nice and cool. And when they're not under load, they're very efficient. And because no one really wants them, for gaming anyway, the prices on the motherboards are fantastic. So if you can get a processor at a decent price, which potentially you might be able to, yeah, the Intel 200 series is worth looking at, I think, personally. And potentially the Core 3000 series, which hopefully, fingers crossed, is going to be on the same socket, looks like it's going to have a severe helping of 3D V-Cache, which would then easily make it competitive with the 9000 series. Because that's basically what it needed, the 3D V-Cache, to make it competitive. And if they add 3D V-Cache, they will then also reduce the power budget. So yeah, potentially Intel might have a winner on their hands, which sounds like really weird even just saying it. And especially being that Intel dominated the market for such a long time. I don't know, strange. John David Sullivan says, curved monitors are as much a gimmick as 3D. Yeah, possibly. It kind of makes sense if you think about it, but I think the way that most human beings have evolved over the last, how long's the TV been a thing? Since the, was it 1920s? Well, when did the television start? The 1920s? I'm not sure. Maybe later than that, maybe 30s.
Later. I have no idea.
I think it was pre-Second World War. I'm not sure. If anybody, if anybody knows the answer, please do let us know in the chat. For some reason, I think it's pre the Second World War.
When were TVs the normal? She didn't know.
No Mercy says, hey Mike, do you have plans for holidays in Turkey? No, unfortunately, although I could do with some hair and probably get the old teeth done as well. I would like to host you in my hotel. here in my beautiful city. That is very kind of you. Thank you very much. But no, we don't have any plans for any holidays in the foreseeable. But thank you so much.
Our daughter went to Turkey last year.
Yeah, our daughter went that way. She said it was very lovely. Liked it a lot. Old Bob says that Lianli PSU doesn't make sense though in the 216 because you need the fan down, which makes all the cables face down. I would have said in the 216 you need the fan up because there's not a lot of room at the bottom. But yeah, if you're figuring it out, that's what we like. Viali says disgusting, Mike, only AMD. And the nefarious leprechaun says AMD all the way. The thing is, I do like AMD and I would rather use an AMD processor, but AMD processors, especially the Ryzen's, are so inefficient in normal desktop use. Under load and in games, they have the edge. They actually draw less power. But for the majority of the time, like probably 80 to 90% of my day, I'm not gaming. I'm actually either researching on a web browser or video editing, which most of the time doesn't really put much strain on the CPU because it's just like scrubbing along the timeline. It's not until I'm actually rendering the video which actually kind of destroys the system. So for my use case scenario, and even I've noticed it, just the heat in this room, like I had my PC on pretty much all day and the window's closed now. Yeah, it's getting cooler, but we were at like 26, 27 degrees when my PC was on earlier. And now I've got this one on behind me, 23.6, and it's getting cooler. The humidity is dropping as well. And this thing, it's idling at the moment, doing basically very little apart from the stream. And it's like 39, 40 degrees on the package, whilst it's actually streaming, which is nuts. And it's driving a couple of monitors. Whereas almost every single AMD system I've owned recently, the idle temperatures will be somewhere between the 40s and 50s, pretty much guaranteed, sometimes spiking up into the 60s if Windows wants to do something like an update or something. They seem to be very inefficient at those kind of lower level loads. Even with tweaking them with undervolting and power management settings and all that kind of stuff, I still find that AMD is ridiculously inefficient in desktop mode, or just a desktop usage, which is a real shame. And if you're someone who has your PC on 12, 15 hours a day, which I generally do, that's a lot of time where it's just basically using up way too much power. Weird Accent says, if it's good, but AM5 is just better right now. The thing is, I don't know if it is. My video editing is slower, 100%. And I went from I had a 13900K, that was pretty cool. Then I went to the 14700K, that was also pretty cool, almost seemed identical. I then went to the 7900X, and it seems much slower. Rendering takes longer, timeline scrubbing seems worse. Gameplay seems roughly-ish the same, I think. About the same, doesn't seem to be much difference in it at all. But it's using so much power. Like, it idles at about 45, 50 all the time. I've had to put a 360mm water cooler in it just to try and keep the temps down. Yes, I know it's summer here and temps have been warmer than the seasonal averages, at least so they say. But yeah, it seems to be really difficult to keep it under control, and it seems to do a lot of spiking. And that's even with a reasonable undervolt, which, yeah, it doesn't seem to be as efficient as I would like it to be. And it doesn't seem to be as quick. Whereas I think the 265K is going to give me another 4 cores, because I've got 8 performance cores and 12 efficiency cores, whereas the 1700X has got just 8 efficiency cores, I think. There's 8 efficiency cores and hyper-threading for 16 cores. I'm not too sure myself now, I think that's right. How many cores has the 1700X got? Or is it 12? It might be 12. It doesn't feel like it's 12. 7900X. That's a 900X. I didn't do the 7. 7900X. Oh no, yeah, 12 core, 24 thread. Sorry, my mistake. But yeah, it just doesn't feel like it's actually being utilised as much as it should be, and it seems to be getting warm. So it's a shame because I do like the AM5 platform. Television really came out in the 50s, says Charles. Oh right, so just post-war then. Can't remember what we were talking about with the TVs anyway. Let's see what everyone's saying. Kenny D's in the house. How you doing, Kenny? David Owner says, Mike, my AMD Ryzen 7600 is running at 47 degrees Celsius, running 2 monitors and watching the stream. I am only using the stock cooler and 2 exhaust fans. Yeah, the non-X versions are actually really good. I think I regret getting the X version. That is the one thing which does bother me. It was a time where I got a really good deal on the processor, and the 7900X was basically the same price as the 7900 anyway, but also there was like a returned one to Amazon. So I think I paid about £220, £230 for it. So I'm not like pissed about it because it's still much cheaper. Well, it's about the same price as you can pick up a 7600 or a 7600X. So I've done really well.
Did you see King Ilya, is it?
Not
What is
sure.
the best Intel Gen 14 motherboard for my CPU? And it's an i5 14400F.
King, oh right, okay. Where are we? Yeah, King's saying, what is the best Intel 14th gen motherboard for my CPU? It's an i5 14400F. To be honest with you, the 14400F isn't going to be particularly demanding, so you could pretty much go for anything, and it's going to work just fine because it's not going to be really struggling. It's not a K series, so it's not going to overclock or anything. The world is your oyster, really. I would probably go with... So it is a tricky one, actually. I would probably try and get an MSI B760 Tomahawk, or maybe even the Gaming Plus. I do like MSI boards. It's been a while since I looked for a 14th gen board. I would probably go with a 700 series rather than the 600 series as well. Although technically you could use it, but it means you've got a BIOS update and all that kind of stuff, which you may or may not be able to do.
Bialy says my 9900.
Yeah, your 9700X is what?
41 degrees C watching this, and it's 25C in here.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad. The 9000 series are supposed to be a little bit more efficient. That was one of the key things, wasn't it? That they improved the IPC and also reduced the wattage as well at the same time. So yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe a 9000. The thing is, 9000 series would be the kind of the sensible thing to change from. But being that I do a video editing, I think the Intel processors are going to be better, especially for Premiere Pro, because of the Intel QuickSync. That is a thing for video editing. So, anyway. Nefarious Leprechaun says, hey Mike, I bought the MSI X670E Gaming Plus after watching your review of it. That's a great board. I've still got one here, actually. I think. Waiting to be used again. I think potentially it's going to end up going back into there. So that's the Intel system in there. That's a 245K on a Z890 stupid, ridiculous overkill motherboard from MSI. The what was it? The MSI Z890 Edge Titanium Wi-Fi. Nuts board. Absolutely ridiculous. Overkill. So yeah, that's all going to come out of there. I'm going to go back to the AMD on there. I'm going to put a 7700 back in there because it doesn't need an X-class processor for what I do on there at all. And the 7700X, I think Rick has got his eyes on it, so that might be bringing its way over to Rick. And I'll get the 265k from Amazon, and possibly another 265k and a board off of Glen. Because I do like the Intel stuff, and I'm hoping that the 300 series comes out and is on the same socket. Otherwise, I'm going to be putting a lot of this into e-waste eventually. Anyway, moving on. Cedric, hi, watched your installation video of an AK400, but I'm not able to install it on my AM5 motherboard. The cooler screws catch the threads on the bracket, but they don't lock. They keep rotating. Right, are you using the cooler screws that come with the motherboard, or the cooler screws that came with the actual cooler? That might be the problem. So if you're using the screws that came with the motherboard, you need to disregard those, along with the plastic brackets. So 4 screws out, plastic brackets off, put the, you didn't say what processor you've got, but depending on your processor, whether it's AMD or, so you're using the cooler screws. I'm not sure, Cedric. You might need to post some pictures of that on our Discord so I can actually see what's going on. But if it's an what CPU? AM5 motherboard. Yeah, if it's AM5, they should just screw straight in. The screws catch. The cooler screws catch the threads on the bracket, but they don't lock. They keep rotating. So which ones are you talking about? The cooler screws? You want about the ones actually that are fixed to the front and the back of the cooler, or you want about the ones for the brackets? If it's the ones that are spring loaded that are on the CPU cooler itself, you'll probably find that you need to readjust the mount somehow, or maybe apply a little bit of pressure one side or the other, just to get that first couple of turns going. But it sounds like there's some spacing issues there. But yeah, might need to have a look. Looks like yeah, if the screw threads are sitting too low for the second cooler screws, you need to undo it a couple of turns, and then you should be able to get it to fix on. Dutch Jan says, question, what do you think of Intel saw its loss widen to 2.9 billion in the second quarter? Oh yeah, they're properly screwed. They are properly. Now, don't get me wrong. I've always been one of those people that champions the underdog. Now, Intel is not an underdog by any stretch of the imagination, because they are a multi-billion-dollar organization. They don't need any help from anybody other than their own management team. But yeah, I think Intel have got some catching up to do, and they rested on their laurels. The whole management team got very sloppy, and yeah, it's not been a great look for them at all. Nvidia to buy Intel, wouldn't that be good? Oh God, imagine that. The Nvidia and the monopoly. So Nvidia basically got a monopoly on graphics cards as it is. AMD are just the kind of like running along at the same time, just for giggles. Nvidia could easily just wipe AMD off the face of the earth if they really wanted to. But being that they're both owned by the same shareholders anyway, there's no point in them actually doing it. And that's why you'll never see any real competition. I've said this a million times before. Like now, the RX 9070 XT is a great card. It's at a great price. You look at the performance, it's kind of very similar to, I think it's a 4080 Super in general. The 4080 Super, obviously significantly more expensive, but the 9070 XT isn't fast enough really to be like the go-to card. Like for a lot of people, they're still like, well, yeah, Nvidia are the market leader, DLSS is much better than FSR, etc, etc. So I'll pay the extra for the Nvidia card. Also, resale value. Whenever you're talking resale value, Nvidia cards are always going to have a better resale value than AMD cards. It's been a thing for many years, and it will continue because Nvidia is the market leader. So why would you buy an AMD card? And the same goes for people in the second-hand market, unless they know what they want and what they're looking at and what the prices are. In which case, if they see something, they're like, yep, that's a bargain. Hence why I bought this. 222 quid, should be about 250, 260, maybe 270, possibly even slightly more. I've seen these going for like wacky prices, like 300 quid. So this was a good buy, but I wouldn't, if it's 300 quid, I would not buy it because I might as well get something newer. Anyway, I'm digressing. I need to take this thing apart. So I should start with that next. What's the best thermal compound to use on a GPU? Mike's unboxing. It's a difficult one. There's lots of options and lots of things you can use. I personally tend to just go with Arctic MX4. It's nice and easy to spread, but some GPUs like to have something a little bit thicker in there. So potentially you might want to look at Thermal Grizzly. Thermal Grizzly paste is pretty good. But yeah, there's a lot of options. Now, I'm trying to work out with this whether or not I can just take off this back plate. Let's have a look. I might be able to. Glenn says the 6000 is goated. Gonna last a very long time for the money. Yeah, these are really, really good cards. The 6700, also very good. The 6750, weirdly a little bit slower sometimes than the 6700. For some bizarre reason, I still don't quite understand that. But it's the thing. Yeah. The 6800 is a great card. It doesn't use a great deal of power. And weirdly, like when this came out, it had a TDP or TGP, I think it is, of about 250 watts. But rarely does it ever get even close to like 180. I thought it was knackered, but it doesn't appear to be. Seems to be getting some pretty good results, but hence why I'm taking it apart, just in case there is a thermal reason why it's not using as much power as it is. But if you just Google it and let AI answer your question for you, it will say that most of the time these cards will quite happily run all day long at the lower temp, at the lower TDP. Now, does that want to come off now or will it not? As those screws go through, what's holding that in place? Okay, let's do the other screws. I'll put the overhead camera on actually so you can see what is going on, hopefully. And I will try and zoom in if I can find my zoomy. Actually, but I haven't set that up, have I? No, I haven't. Oh no. Hang on a mo. I've got to open up my Osbourne software. The one thing about actually setting up your system and doing debloating means that after stuff that you want to actually run doesn't run until you tell it to run, which is annoying. There we go. We're zooming. There we go. Hopefully you can see it a little bit now. I can't see shit, to be fair. We'll see. And I'll try and keep an eye on the chat there. I'll do my best. Dutch Jan says I still have an RX 5700 XT and a 6700 XT. Yeah, those are good cards. I do miss my 5700 XT. That was a nice card. That was the XFX 5700, the triple fan. That was a good. There. Now, is that going to come off now? No. Maybe. Let's hold that in place. Is that coming off? I got a feeling that's just the sticky pads holding that in place. Yeah, there we go. I thought that was supposed to come off in one go. But the thermal pads have all welded themselves on pretty well. And that bit there, actually they look in pretty good nick, to be fair. And it's actually a plastic backplate. I thought it was going to be metal, but it is actually plastic. So yeah, the thermal pads on there look absolutely fine. They're only really making contact with the backs there. They have sweated a little bit, as you can see there. So we might give that a little bit of TLC. Get some scrubs on it. And we'll get A little bit of isopropyl alcohol. Hopefully break down some of that residue. And we'll get the bamboo toothbrush on the go. And yes, before you say it, I know static, but hey, it's good enough for teeth, it's good enough for AMD GPU. If it was an NVIDIA one, I'd be taking more care, obviously. That was sarcasm, by the way. Just for those of you that are unaware. It's a British thing. We do sarcasm reasonably well. And irony. And I, right, I think that is. I think that's better. Let's get the paper towels. Viali says I use a very soft paintbrush. I've got one here actually. I was going to use that, but see, actually that might. Let's get a bit of extra TLC. This isopropyl alcohol isn't burning off as quickly as I'd have hoped. I think we're pretty good.
Big undercoat. I use wire brushing and grinder.
That's the proper Aussie way of doing it.
Do you have Mars bar?
No, I don't. Thank you.
You're one short.
There. I think that's a little bit better. Still a little bit of the shiny residue around there where it's sweated. So it has got it.
Well, the rubber's getting thicker. I think that the rubber's thicker, but Mars bar's like a fun size.
Look at that. Fun size Mars bar.
Isn't the rubber thicker?
Yeah.
By far. I'm eating it.
Hmm?
I'm eating it.
No, you haven't.
Oh, I'll fit it in one go.
Kath showed me some 18 plus restricted content I got to get me idea about. Hang on. The things you could do with a Mars bar, who'd have thought?
It's only small though.
It is a fun size one, so it's what she's used to. Right, what else do I need to remove from here screw wise? So I'm thinking it's going to be those two at the ends. Oh, they're very small. What are they? Oh no, they're on the other side.
What about the advert?
What advert's that? Actually, what else needs to come out of there? I think that might actually come off from there. Let's give it a little...
What's the thermal conductivity of a Mars bar, I wonder?
That's a very good question. Actually, let me see. I think, yeah. Actually, I got a feeling I'm going to have to undo these screws at the end. Which is unfortunate. I think that'll be it.
Oh, Bob says a Mars bar won't help with the board cleaning, Mike.
No, it probably won't.
It might. It might make you hyper and you might fly through it.
Yeah. Right, two big screws there. And that bit has come off. Where's that bit? Oh, that's a support bracket for something. What the hell? Oh, I don't like the look of this. Oh, there's screws there.
Crowbar and claw hammer here if you need it, Mike.
Thanks. I might need it. Let's see if I can... Yeah, that is
Mars
coming.
bar would be the same as melting NVIDIA GPU connector.
don't want to come out.
Russia, my mate has quit his. Can't see.
I'm going to take that out.
His job with BMW. Of course, he gave no indication he was leaving. These indicators.
BMW's got the best indicators in the world. It's funny actually, there's a thing which is on all the BMW forums, there's a thing you can turn on for the, so the flashers will actually go 3 times. Like the triple flash thing. And yeah, that was one of the most common upgrades. The triple flash upgrade. Right, that is for those
What do
two.
you mean?
So when you tap the stalk, it flashes 3 times.
Rather than what does it usually?
Rather than leaving them on or just doing it once.
Does it once?
So if you tap your flasher down once, it just flashes once to say you're flashing, doesn't it? You have to lock it in position to make it flash continually. But if you want it to do 3 flashes when you tap it, so like on the motorway, you can just tap it once and it goes flash, 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 and then you can move over into your desired lane. Feels like I'm missing some screws here, or missing something. But anyway, let's see.
I'll leave it over anyway, I'm a woman driver.
Yeah. Let's just see if we can wedge this apart a little bit.
I do indicate.
There we
It's
go.
okay.
There it was. Just needed a little bit of extra force there.
BMW indicators never work, not in my area.
Oh. So we've got multiple connections here, which is not much fun. So I need to unplug this one for the RGB. It should be just a wiggle out. And there's also a black one as well. And I think I'll leave the other side connected. So yeah, that's good. I'm not sure what the deal is with that thing, but it has got a thermal pad on it.
Fiali says, worst drivers drive BMW.
The worst drivers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I would probably agree.
And in the last week, I've also driven a Corsa and a Fiesta.
Why is my screen just turned off? My screen just went black. That was weird.
Has it come back on now?
Yeah, so that, why does that go, why does that even need to be there? And why is there a heat, thing there? I don't understand this at all. Anyway, so that goes in there, so I could probably put the screws back in for that at some point. The thermal paste looks like it's, yeah, there's not much of it left. And it has gone a little bit on the hard side. The pads look to be okay. And actually there's not a lot of dust in here or debris. So that is that's generally deemed as a good thing. And
Anti-sag.
yeah, there's hardly any dust in here at all. But it looks like it has been sweating a little bit. So I think what we'll do is we'll give this a little blast with the isopropyl and get that breaking down. And whilst it's break it down, we will go over here, give this a little agitation. Yeah, that is pretty stuck. Not in bad shape though.
Soul Blade says BMW is too expensive now. We double the value of ours when we put petrol in,
We do.
even though it's diesel. But
Yeah, all cars have got really expensive. I can quite vividly remember, I know because I worked there, that I worked at Citroën in the mid-90s. And the Citroën AX, the Salsa,
90s.
huh?
It was in the young 90s.
Yeah, the early 90s, the young 90s. We were selling the Citroën AX Salsa,
You'd say AX.
which was the special edition at the time, which was like a metallic blue with some really horrible stickers on the side.
Turquoise blue.
No, it's like a Hawaiian blue. Not Hawaii, actually that's wrong. It was quite a nice metallic blue to be fair, but they put like stupid stickers on the side of it to make it look more Hawaiian, which is probably not a great idea. And yeah, that thing was, you could buy that £3,995 on the road. Which, you think, £3,995 for a brand.
Thing for that
You can
now.
barely buy a second-hand car for that now, yeah. Right, that is nice and clean. Let's move that out of the way a bit.
Is that sweating or water damage, Mike?
Sweating around there. Which I'll give it a clean. I get what you're saying. Ooh, getting high up in here tonight.
I remember paying 23p for a gallon of petrol back in the 70s.
Wow. The cheapest I've known fuel, I think, that I've actually known of, and like it's registered that it is fuel and I'm not a kid sort of thing, like being an adult, I think was around about 46p for a litre.
Just paid £10.
Yeah.
It never went up or down because I only paid £10.
It says Nick Barr says, bet not many on the road still. Citroen AXs? No. Glenn says, I test drove an AX GT back in the day. Yeah, AX GTs were awesome. I always wanted one of them.
What was the other one? BX?
Citroen BX. Yeah, Citroen BX
Was
was.
that the one that went up and down?
Yeah, with the hydroelastic suspension.
Always looked like it collapsed or something.
Yeah.
Bad happened to it.
This paste don't want to come off. Yeah, it's quite congealed, that paste. It's quite solid.
Nick Barnes can remember as a junior school kid, his dad complaining it was 33p per gallon. Glenn ended up with a Nova though.
Yeah, the AX GT was actually a pretty decent car.
Did the Nova take over from the... No, not take over. The Astra take over from the Nova, or were they two?
No, the Corsa took over from the Nova. Oh, I hate cleaning GPUs because you can make some rather expensive problems. Old Bob says, "Tut tut, Mike, you should use a plastic scraper." I know.
Was Mike a boy racer
I'm
back
bad.
in the day?
Not really. I was more into bikes, really. Well, not say more into, but I had a bike, and yeah, bikes were more my thing. Don't know why, I never really wanted a car or a bike. It was necessity more than anything.
He liked his skateboard.
Yeah, I was a skate boy, or mountain biker, or BMXer.
Remember you had a bike? I think. Like before.
Yeah.
Together. Skateboard and a pair of sunglasses.
Skateboard and a pair of sunglasses in the dark.
Yeah, the blue jumper.
Yeah.
Rasher, I can't believe how rude the supposedly helpline was.
Oh dear. That was great.
Opal course, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think that's dry. That's actually quite a sizable die, isn't it? Dirt big die. So, just stick a bit of the old paste on there. It's quite a big die, so I'm going to put a decent amount on. But I am going to spread it out, because when you're doing a direct to die pasting, you do have to have full coverage on there, because although it will squidge out a little bit, it's not going to be... Is there any chance that the old Bob is the long lost ugly Bob? Well, we live in hope. You never know. Never rule it out. So just going to paint it on like it's a cake. Cake.
Did ice me a cake once with the kids, didn't you?
Yeah, I think
Our
so.
anniversary cake.
I don't know.
Rain, don't pause it, baby.
I think that's a pretty even coverage. So as I've said previously, and I always do, is I'm going to get another blob on the top.
Bob, nah, I'm the new ugly Bob.
Ah, well done. A new mysterious benefactor. Nick Byron says the 6800 die was the same as the 6900, whereas the 7800 uses the same die as the 7700. Hence, little difference in performance. Interesting. Steve says, I still have my Vauxhall Lotus Carlton. Wow. That, at its time, was the UK's fastest production road vehicle.
And what was it, spark plugs code?
I can't remember the spark plugs. I wish I could.
Bet no one ever came in for them, to be honest, did they?
No, probably not.
Not in round here.
Right, does that screw have to go all the way through? I'm wondering. Yes, it does. Of course. This is not going to be very easy to put back together.
Git, but someone complained about my nickname, so Google made me change it.
Ah, bloody Google. Yeah, this is an awkward SOB.
Dave Aiken says, oh Bob, do you have a fine taste for dirty jokes? If so, you'll be a fine new version.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true indeed. Right, I think what I'm going to try and do is, I don't know, this is actually turned out to be a little bit of a palaver. Anyway, let's make sure those are connected up. They are. Flip that over in roughly the right place. So the trouble is with modern graphics cards is because we've got these connectors for the RGB, it's really hard to kind of sandwich it all together and get it all to line up nicely without disturbing the thermal paste. And also I've got to remember to put that back in. So I kind of got to hold this in place at the same time as trying not to touch the paste and also get those connectors back in. Wow. Which way round do they go? So where's the pinholes? Jesus Corbett, this is...
Do you want me to do it?
I ain't got the eyes for this.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, please.
You'll have to move it over off camera.
Right, I've got to get Kath
Oh, no,
to do this.
It's alright, you're on that camera. You're definitely on that camera, aren't you?
Yep.
Where's it got to
So-
go?
Black one in there, red one in there.
Got to be careful, cameras.
That's right, you're not... So the pins, can you see where the pins are?
Yeah.
They're like slightly handed.
So they go with the pins at the bottom, yeah? The holes
I don't know. Where's the pins on there?
at
So
the
that-
top. Aren't they?
Yeah. See, Kath is real. She does exist, but you can only see the back of her head.
And my hair is a bit of a mess.
Excuse the hair.
Oh, God.
Don't bend the pins.
I'm not bending the pins, but they went in and then it fell off.
Ah,
Sweaty hands slip off connectors.
they do. There you go.
I haven't pushed it right in. I'm scared.
It's all right, don't worry.
If I get them lined up... you
Old
can push
Bob
'em
says, hi, Kath's head.
in. They just need pushing in.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll move my head.
Oh, bollocks, it came out.
Oh, you... wit. Push the other one in, I'll do it again.
I can't see it at all. You have to do it. I think I pushed it in a bit, but I may have broken it.
Push it in.
Shouldn't need pushing in too much, did it? Did it feel like it kind of clicked in?
Not particularly.
Oh,
There's a bit of a gap with that one compared to the black one.
yes. Alright, that looks okay, so thank you very much for that. And
that's both of us using our skills there.
it wasn't it? Opal Calibra was my favourite Vauxhall. Yeah, the Calibra, that was a bit of a classic, wasn't it? Right, let's put this round on the side. And now I'm going to try and get this to match up as best I can, which is not easy. Oh God, I can't see where the screw holes are. Oh, shit now.
I know what we got to do now.
What?
Put my hair over your head.
Oh,
So
I can't be doing that. That looks about right there. There we go. There's me with Kath's hair. That'll do.
Got stuck. Velcro.
Cheek of it. Right, let's get these screws lined up and hopefully one of them's going to catch. Nope. Oh dear. Oh, that's heavy. Right, so where is that? I think I've messed this right up. Oh no, not too far off. There we go. As long as you can get one screw started, you're pretty much okay. And that is, what is, oh, I thought that was way off then, it was that bit that's hanging out. And yeah, hopefully I can just about see, I think I can just about see the screw holes through there now. So that is lined up. Just get those started. These four I can do first of all to get the GPU core basically kind of in the right position, because the plastic backplate has got bigger holes. What are they talking? Who had a fire blade? I always like the idea of a Kawasaki Ninja.
What GPU are you repasting, Mike?
This is the MSI RX 6800 16GB Gaming X Trio.
Can you say that backwards?
I had a hard enough job trying to remember it forwards. The forwards. Right, that bit is a little bit, yeah, I'm not keen on that bit. I don't get why they make these things so blasted complicated. Well, I do. It's because they can. So stick that over on there. That looks about right. So what I'll do is, if I do one of these screws towards the bottom in this corner, that should centralize things there. And then I think I'll do one over in this top section. And then that should get things centralized there. So we've got like an axis going across. 15 years, boy racers will be driving antique Teslas. If a Tesla lasts 15 years, I'll be amazed. I think that is unlikely. Rick H says, now I have the urge to change the paste on my GPU. Yeah, do it. Oh shit, what did I cut?
Do it.
Oh, there's a spacer of some sort there. Where did that come from? I'm guessing it would have been from one of these. Oh shit. I don't really want to take those apart again. But I guess I must. Nope, it's not that one. What's the bets this is going to be the last one? Nope, that one's in place. Yay, it was that one. through there? No, it isn't. You little swine. There we go. Excellent stuff. Now I think I might need to get the screwdriver in there and just push that back into place very gently. So we can just about see the screw thread. There we go. Do you remember the old days when you could buy a GeForce 4 MX and basically just have like 2 little pinch pins that you pushed out and that was it and your cooler came off? I miss those days. These were good times. Aha. Right, I know we're going to have problems there.
George getting overexcited.
Yeah, George is getting a bit carried away. So we've got 3 screws left, which should be right. So 1, 2, 3 for the
I thought you counted then. 1, 2, 3, 4.
the back plate monstrosity. Actually, that screw's gone in. Oh, no, it's not. I am a little bit.
You went 1, 2, 3 for the...
1, 2, 3 for the win. Right, so that one goes into there, so that's fine. Old Bob says he misses his Lexus. Dave says if you put a tiny drop of isopropyl on the warranty sticker, it will come off. That's right, I don't want to pretend about any warranty on this. I think that boat is sailed. Oh, come on, you swine. Oh, what an oh, shithead. It's fallen out. Yes, that's better. I got you. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that actually, an additional GPU support bracket to have to be installed as well. It's kind of nuts. And now that needs to go up higher, I think. Yeah, there we go. That's locking in, so we have got all the screws in. Yeah, there must be a support to actually support the rear I/O. So now that is all reassembled. I do need to clean the fans out, but I'm going to do that at a later date because those are a real pain. The twin Frozzer or Frozzer 2 fans, they're a bit of a pain because they're solid ended to increase the air pressure, but it means they just collect dust in the ends there. So they are a little bit of a pain to clean. I suppose really I should have washed them out, but it's a bit of a mucky job to do.
Wash out your Frozzers.
Wash your Frozzers out, ladies and gentlemen. So now I've got to try and do this rear I/O catastrophe. So that goes on top of, no, underneath there. And then yeah, you've got those 2 screws going through there. So if I do the 2 screws first, I think that is the right ones. Yep, that feels nice. We've got 2 of those. Excellente. And so we've got the 4 which go in the end there. I'll do those actually next.
Do them next. Do them next.
I'm gonna try not to drop them in the actual the portholes. It's not quite lining up. Don't need pushing over, pulling over. Why does that not want to go in there? Oh, there we go. Just needs a little bit of a slight persuasion. I think it's slightly off center. Yeah, there we go. So once you get the end one, you can do the other end and then do the middle ones, and that should make it easier. Yeah, there we go. It's much easier. Much, much easier.
So what was the card wrong with the card, Mike? Or just needed a cleanup?
Yeah, it was. The thing is, it runs really well, but it seems to be using a lot less wattage than it potentially could do. So it seems to be using about 70 watts less than its max. So I was slightly concerned that it was hitting some kind of thermal wall somewhere along the line. And I thought that it might be the GPU, even though the GPU temperature was always very low, like in the mid 60s, low 70s. I think it got to 70 was about the most I saw out of it. So yeah, it was a little bit strange, and I couldn't quite figure out how it was basically kind of self-throttling, or apparently self-throttling. In 3D Mark and other tests, it seemed like it was getting the right results that it should be for the class of card it is, and compared with other models. So yeah, it was all working as it should do, but it just seemed odd that it just didn't seem to want to use all of its power envelope. Now, I didn't test it I tested on 4K on one game, and it still only used, it was 99% usage, but still it just stuck it around about 180 watts. That was on CS2, 4K. So it should have used more really, but anyway, there you go. That is that back together. And
does it have dual BIOS for silent running?
I don't think so. Let's go back to my stream there. Let's go back to the main camera. Hello, it's me again.
It's not a hologram.
I am not a hologram. I am not a hollow mic. So yeah, there we go. It's all back together, and we don't have any leftover screws. That's a great time. And thank you so much, Kath, for sticking those connectors in there, because I think I would have struggled with that. Look how small those connectors are and where they are in
Like
the
that
side.
glass bottle.
Shit. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that. There's going to get enough light on it. But yeah, you can see there's a red one and a black one in there, and it's absolutely tiny. There's no room in there at all, hardly. So yeah, I'm glad that's done. Excellent.
That's what I put in.
That was the ones you put in, yeah.
They not that bad.
Well, they were for me. I can already see them. My eyesight is more for distance based these days. I should have just put my glasses on, but then I won't be able to see them either.
That's the hunter-gatherer eyes.
Hunter-gatherer eyes, that's the ones I've got.
I've got the sewing and mending eyes.
There we go. Does it have a dual BIOS? Now let's see. I don't think I saw a switch for it. I'm pretty sure I didn't see it actually on the paperwork or documentation when I was researching it. Doesn't appear to be, no. I will be running some further tests on this to see how well it does. And actually, when I was using it, I was doing my testing in that system behind me. So that's with the Intel 245K, which isn't the strongest gaming CPU. So potentially I might try it in another box with something a little bit more, well, arguably better for gaming, and see what it does. Tweezers, says old Bob. Tweezers. They work well for men of a certain age. I'm going to have to get some tweezers. I actually have got some.
You keep stealing mine.
I do. So yeah, no dual BIOS that I can tell.
There's your tweezers.
So, oh yeah, there's some tweezers. What the hell's on there? Is that cat's ones or something?
No, it's
Bloody
flowers.
butterflies and flowers. Oh, that nonsense. Get out of my house. Mishtech, I've missed everything. Hello. You didn't miss a lot.
I can't type hello anymore. I've got too many cats. on my
Yeah,
desk.
Kath can't type hello because the cats have basically gone over it.
Commandeered my desk.
Tweezers made me laugh. Watch the reaction to the old Verge video today. Oh, I know. That's still Terrible. The Verge video was almost as bad as Jay's 2 cents NAS build. That's another story. That's a bit bitchy. It's funny though. MSI don't usually have dual BIOS GPUs. I've never really noticed that, to be honest with you. The only other MSI one I've got at the moment is the 4070 in the back there. I do like that card. That is a nice card. 4070 Super. Although, saying that, I suppose the 4070 Super probably isn't that far off the spec of that. Realistically. Might have to look up that. Might swap it over. Rasher says, my wife told me sex is better on holiday. That wasn't a nice postcard to receive. Oh dear. The first Lepcorn says, oh, I have to watch that, tell me more. It's not, it's, Jay was building a NAS. He's upgrading his existing NAS, and it's just, I think it was because it was like a sponsored video from Micro Center, or I don't know if it was, but it appeared to be. So they were getting everything from Micro Center, and he chose like a really bad case for his setup. He chose a really bad motherboard. He didn't really know about motherboard PCIe slots and bifurcation and PCI Express lanes, and then was struggling with SATA ports, and should have had like a HBA, I think that's what it's called, host bus adapter, rather than using the onboard SATAs. But anyway, it was just one of those things that kind of everything he did just seemed like it was a little bit just rushed and not particularly well thought out. Like, it worked, but it could have been done better. And there was some rookie errors made along the way. But we all make mistakes. I do. I'm quite happy to admit them. Wow. Kath has just disrespected me live on stream. Again.
I'm joking, you. You make a lovely cup of coffee.
Rasher says Snow White felt happy, Happy felt violated. Yeah, did she go through the age verification process? I bet not. What's that? Someone said there about 4070. Oh, Mish says, I've got a 5060 Ti flip coming up. Let's see if anyone wants to buy this garbage. Is it in a 16 gig or 8 gig? I'm guessing you say it's garbage. I was guessing it's an 8 gig. David Anderson says, Jace 2 Cents and Micro Center have a closer relationship than just sponsored videos. Tell me more. I'm interested. I'm not really. I am. I'm not. It's gossip. Terrible. But yeah, I get that impression as well. Micro Center have become the new, Christ, I can't remember, EK water blocks. Mishtech says the 16 gig version actually. The 16 gig version of the 5060 Ti is actually alright. It's basically on par, if not slightly faster in some titles, as the 9060 XT 16 gig, which is about 50 to 60 pounds cheaper generally. But DLSS, CUDA cores, RTX, it's a tough choice. I think you'd probably sell, if you were looking to sell a PC and add a 9060 XT or a 5060 Ti, I'm almost 100% sure that the 5060 Ti would sell quicker than the 9060 would, by a margin. Pairing it with a Ryzen 7 5700X, so it will still be a bit wet. No, I think that'd be great. Nefarious Leprechaun says Jays has fallen out of love with EK. I think everyone's fallen out of love with EK, to be fair. He's fallen out with their money, that's for sure. Steve Flamesinger says, I love my 16 gig 9060 XT. Yeah, it's a great card. Yeah, that is another consideration as well. The RX 5060 Ti, comparatively with the 9060, the 9060 is pretty efficient, but the 5060 takes it to another level. It's like a lot less. Mish says, exactly Mike, Nvidia always sells quicker, even if the AMD equiv is better and cheaper. It is, 100%. Rasher says to Viali. What was he saying? I'm not sure. I'm not going to get involved. I've paired it with a 9600X. Nice choice. I really should get a 9000 series processor to try them out. The 7000 series, the 7700 I've really liked. I've bought 10 of those at least, if not more. So it would be interesting to see what the 9000 series is like, possibly even for a daily driver. Nefarious Leprechaun says, I'm torn between the 7900X TX or the 9070 XT. I think the 9070 XT is probably the better choice. The 7900 XTX was basically the equivalent of the 4080. The 9070 is going to be newer technology, less power requirements, and more on par with the 4080 Super. Depends on the games though, of course. Yeah, iOpen says 9070 XT is better. I think I would. Dave Aitken got a 9070 XT for 450 quid. That is an absolutely cracking deal. Power delivery is horrific. Steve says, I'm waiting for the Ryzen 5 9600X 3D to release. Yeah, that's going to be a cracking gaming chip. It's going to sell like hotcakes. Because most people just want a gaming PC. They don't necessarily want all those extra cores. Like, unless you have a specific need for them, it's a bit pointless. So yeah, that's pretty good. Right, I think that is pretty much it for tonight's stream. Unless there's any other last minute requests or questions. I suppose I should say thank you all so much for joining us on this Saturday evening, and hopefully the online harms bill, or the online whatever thing it's called nowadays, the online safety bill, hopefully for a lot of people it doesn't get as misunderstood and there isn't so much fear mongering. Yes, it's not ideal, but I don't think it's quite as scary as a lot of people make out. And certainly, obviously, if you're not going to sites which require 18 plus verification, which a lot of sites which have 18 rated content aren't required for 18 that sort of content, if you know what I mean. So like, there's a difference between content aimed to adults and content that is adult content, if you see what I mean. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as it is, but it's still early days. We're only, what, a day, 48 hours in, and yeah, there's going to be lots of changes and amendments and bits and pieces, and obviously keep a lookout for videos for people showing how to get around it and VPNs and stuff. I'm sure that's going to be a thing. But anyway, thank you all for joining. Thank you for the super chats, the contributions, and yeah, just the chit chat. It's always nice to see what your people's opinions are. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, don't forget to leave a like before you go, you miserable gits. Cheers, bye.